Long ago, the fandom lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when Shyamalan attacked. His adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender split the fandom down the middle, and a gruesome war began of how things should be adapted. That we all long waited for a certain podcast to bring the light and end the horrid war of how things should be adapted. And that podcast is here. The podcast is us, episode 151 of the Fake Nerd Podcast, where Mr. Ryan Eliopoulos
Oh, it's me.
there,
I'm first.
Yeah, you're the one.
That was a good intro.
Brought us this great idea of talking about
I did?
certain things
love it.
of them being adapted. So
Hey,
here we go. That's our topic today.
adaptations.
Hold
Cool.
up. Are you saying we're not talking about a movie this week?
Yeah, we're not talking about a movie.
Shenanigans.
No, we're talking about several movies.
Well, we're not talking about one specific movie.
We're
But
not
yeah,
talking about summer blockbusters.
No, we're not. No, we're not. This is, like I said, this is 151 of Fake Nerd Podcast. That's Ryan Eliopoulos.
It's me again.
That's Brandon T. McClure.
I'm back.
Yes, you are back.
Welcome
It's
back.
good to have you back, buddy.
Thank you.
And this is Sparks Witty.
Pointing at me does nothing. They can't
I
see
know, but just let me do my thing. And
And
I
I do the same thing, but you were like, and that. And I'm like, they
they can't
they
see
don't
me.
know who you're pointing at.
No, they're not. Well, that one over there next to me, you can't see him because he's a ghost. Ooh, is Sparks Witty, and I am Ben Magnet.
Welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Welcome to the Fake Nerd Podcast.
Welcome,
Hi, guys.
everyone.
What a
Hey.
twist.
Yeah. What?
I haven't thought about that movie since last time we talked about it, and now I'm mad again. Thanks, Ben.
I'm sorry to make
Okay.
you mad.
We
Well,
get a good adaptation.
You know how I like to do
Yeah.
my intros. I try to like blend the
Oh, no, I
main
love it,
topic
baby.
with the book club, and then with a whole bunch of other stuff.
don't
so
give away your secret.
That's my secret, Captain.
I'm pretty sure people can figure it out. I'm pretty sure.
Brandon, tell me about your wisdom teeth real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I now learn I might not have to get mine removed, which was always my fear.
Oh.
Last week I was off because I had my wisdom teeth removed.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel wiser?
That's the whole point. Is that no?
Oh.
They take away wisdom.
Oh.
Remember, you have it's the wisdom teeth.
Oh, I can never get rid of my wisdom teeth.
So if they're gone, you no longer have that wisdom.
Damn. Growing up
The
sucks.
teeth of wisdom.
Yeah, my boss made the same joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my wisdom teeth taken out. It's been I don't know if I've talked about it on the show, but I've had really bad teeth problems.
Uh-huh.
Mostly my whole life, or certainly as long as Sparks has known me.
Yes.
But about a year ago, I realized that I had extra teeth. And my wisdom teeth had come in. They come in about this age, like between 20 and 30.
Oh, really? Because mine came in when I was 17.
I mean, that varies, but like
Generally.
the general idea
Yeah.
is that they're supposed to come in between about 20 and 30. And if you have braces like yourself, Ben, you
Yeah.
don't need to get them taken out.
I
But
had
I actually had extraordinary circumstances because not only are my teeth kind of messed up anyway,
Uh-huh.
but my wisdom teeth had really bad cavities and were rotting.
Ooh.
So they weren't impacting my teeth in any way. So if they were able to be cleaned, and if I could like keep them clean like normal teeth, I would never have had them taken out. But because they were rotting, I had to have them taken out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was sitting there I've been telling the story a lot, but I was sitting there in the dentist office. I had a really nice 5-day weekend coming up because I had it done on the 3rd. I had the 4th off, and then I took the 5th off of work. And I was sitting there in the doctor's chair, and they're telling me about all the things they're going to do. They look at my wisdom teeth, all the things that are going to go wrong, that could go wrong. And they stick me with an IV to put me under. And I remember thinking to myself, this is a mistake.
This is how I go.
And then I am home. I don't remember what happened between waking up at the dentist
That's awesome.
and being at home.
So someone got you home.
Oh, my
Yeah.
girlfriend was there.
Yeah.
She got me home. She got my medicine. She talked to my mom, all while I was there. I remember,
but not really.
I remember none of this.
Yeah, you weren't conscious there.
It was kind of a blessing in disguise because I did have a 5-day weekend, so that was nice. But it was a lot of pain,
Yeah.
a lot of bleeding,
Yeah.
Mhm.
very minimum eating
Yeah.
can be done.
Applesauce.
Oh, no. Oh, I mean, I haven't had anything as bad as a wisdom teeth, but I have had tooth extractions when I was in elementary school.
Mhm.
And those, like, especially because they didn't never put me under. They gave me laughing gas. They numbed me and stuff. And the first few hours after your thing is done, because you still have all that gauze in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And my chin was completely numb. Like, I kept, like, poking at my chin. I was like, I can't feel any of this. Why can't I feel this?
Yeah, I asked my girlfriend. I was like, "Are my cheeks puffy? Do I look like a chipmunk?" She's like, "No, you look fine." It's like,
Those are sweet, sweet lies.
no, the sweat.
No, I'm kidding.
They didn't puff up or anything. I was But like now that's healed over and I'm eating again relatively normally. I still got to clean it, but I'm kind of like realizing how much of a relief it is to have them gone. Because especially towards the end, like they were ripping the inside of my cheeks because they were starting to like chip away. And like not to get too graphic. Hey guys, brush your teeth. Really, twice a day. So now that I no longer have that and I no longer have that pressure in there, I'm just kind of like, oh, my mouth feels kind of okay.
Yeah, because
nice.
when I saw you yesterday, you told me, it's like, dude, I feel better. I'm like, you?
Yeah. But yeah, I was in bed for like 5 days, and that was wonderful because I beat Spider-Man PS4's DLC.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I decided, I was like, you know what? I can get up for a brief moment to plug in my PlayStation. So I did that. I put in the game. I sat down, and I just, for 5 days, played that DLC. It's awesome.
Good.
Nice.
It's real good. I like it a lot. There's some things with Yuri that are super cool. Like Yuri's real good in that.
Oh, the detective? The cop? Yeah.
Detective Yuri.
Nice.
Some good stuff in that one.
Cool.
It's a little bit of a bummer that you have to pay. It is a 3-parter.
Yeah.
It's a bummer that you have to pay for each 3 parts because
that's
it feels
why
like it's
you
not.
buy the season pass and it's cheaper if you buy all 3.
Yeah,
at once.
it's only $5 cheaper though.
That's still saving
Still
money.
$5.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
$5.
Yeah.
Like I bought the Fire Pass for Smash Bros, and that saved me $5.
But it feels like the whole thing should have been $10. If I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That's shitty video game marketing. That's
yeah,
the world we live in.
Video
dude.
game DLC to
Yeah.
a T.
Yeah, but it was still a lot of fun. A lot of cool new bad guys were introduced. A lot of cool boss battles. Swinging so great still.
Which
Of
is
course.
why I'm gonna wait for the complete edition if that ever comes out, which hopefully it will.
Unless we review it anytime soon, in which case you'll have to play them.
I'll just watch Sparks play him or something.
Oh, that's fair. You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my wisdom teeth. So yeah, I mean, it's not a necessary procedure unless your dentist is like, hey, they're rotting from the inside out.
You should probably take care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Should I talk about the rest of what I did this past week?
Yeah,
Since
why
we're already
not?
on me?
We're on
Go for
you.
You time.
I caught up on some comics, detective comics. I caught up on really good. They're doing a Spectre story right now where the Spectre is trying to find Jim Corrigan because a cult dedicated to the Spectre has stolen Jim Corrigan to kill him in order to free the Spectre.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. The Arkham Knight's also really good. The first story arc, the Arkham Knight one, is good. I think I caught up on another comic book. Oh, Immortal Hulk. Jesus. The Immortal Hulk is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's solid. We just got back Betty Ross as
Mhm.
a version of the Red She-Hulk. I won't say what happened to her, but it's real messed up.
Ooh.
The
Red She-Hulk.
Yeah.
There are so many layers to how you get there. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Well, the Ross family turns into Red Hulks, and
Yeah.
the Banner family turns into the Green Hulks.
No, I know, but it's like you have to have Red Hulk first,
Yeah.
and then you get it's just so many layers of where the Hulk started. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a quote post credits tease for Absolute Carnage. General Ross is currently dead in the Marvel universe, but his grave has been extracted by Carnage for some reason because he was at one time possessed by a symbiote.
Oh,
Good lord.
So if you're following Venom Run, you know why that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So Immortal Hulk, we're delving into the history of what the Hulk, what this current incarnation of the Hulk is. And the running theory that Banner is running with is that he's not only the first Hulk that came out when the first Gamma Bomb happened, but a Hulk that has always been there since childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like always his protective personality. And now that he's free, he's keeping all the other Hulk personalities in check. And we actually got to see Joe Fixit again for a second.
Yes.
And that was real cool.
Hell yes.
Yeah, so that's a really good comic.
Was he wearing a
Cool.
suit and tie?
Well, so through Comicickery, he couldn't transform into Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit just took over Banner's body for a second.
Okay.
And then
Personality came through.
Yeah, his
That's
personality
awesome.
came
That's
through.
fantastic.
Because he couldn't turn into the Hulk because it was during the daytime, but he was under attack. So Devil Hulk sent Joe Fixit to help him. And Joe Fixit could protect him even without being a Hulk.
That's cool. I'm
So
into
yeah,
it.
it's really cool what they're doing with the Hulk.
There are just
right
so
now.
many comics. Like I was reading Hulk, and it's great. Just like I had to drop it off, but I'm like, man, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, if you guys, for the audience, if you guys haven't read Immortal Hulk, highly, highly recommend.
Probably the best Hulk run in man, a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
Long time.
I don't want to say that because I've never read a Hulk.
I
run
read a
until
lot
now.
of the Hulk books. Like my favorite was this quote unquote stupidest one where Mark Waid made him a shield, an agent of Shield.
Oh, the
and he went,
Indestructible Hulk.
yeah, that book is super fun. Like it's not a regular Hulk book, but he's like time traveling and he's like hanging out with the Avengers, like being like smart Hulk. It's like it's a weird book.
Yeah, they also try to find. They're looking at like, oh, the Abomination came back in a really gross, grotesque way.
Yeah.
Really cool.
More like movie version or something different.
No, it is the comic version of Abomination, but they use Blonsky's DNA to form with the corpse of Rick Jones
Yeah, he was A-bomb once.
to make this weird version of the Abomination that has like hands on his face.
Oh,
It's
body horror.
and like spits up acid. A lot of body horror in this series.
I'm into
it's
it.
really, really disgusting, really horrific.
I'm glad to hear. What issue is it? Like 20?
26, I think I just
Holy
read.
crap! I'm really glad that there's like a 26 issue Hulk run that's all been incredible the whole way through.
Yeah, and it sells really well. That makes me really happy.
Sells more than Batman.
Because The Ultimates, which was Al Ewing's last book that I really
that
liked,
book's dope too.
did not sell well and was canceled. And so I'm really happy that I'm reading the Al Ewing book. That is great and
Yeah.
it's selling well. So I could keep reading it. I'm super
Right.
happy
Hell
about
yeah,
that.
dude.
And I saw 3 movies this past week. I saw Anna, which is terrible.
That's a shame.
It's honestly one of the worst I've seen of the year.
That or Shaft.
Oh, Shaft is worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the action at least okay?
No.
Oh.
The action is choreographed well, but it's cut to shit.
Oh, it sucks.
So it actually has a very bad pacing to it. And you lose track of the narrative when you... So we follow Anna, and then Anna does a thing, and then it goes 6 months earlier. And then you follow how that thing happened, and then you
Okay.
catch up with the present, and then she does another thing 2 years earlier. And then you do... It's like, it does that a lot throughout the film, and after
thanks.
a while, I was like, I've completely lost track of where we are.
if it was even like a decent action movie, like Atomic Blonde,
Yeah.
like then that'd be cool. But it's not even a good action movie. That sucks.
Yeah, I was...
That the trailer really sold me. It's a bummer.
And the action sequence, I was telling Sparks this actually. The action sequence in the trailer obviously is in the movie, but it's cut so badly that it just becomes it's boring,
That sucks.
and it's really bummer. It's really a bummer.
That's a shame.
I saw Late Night, which is the Mindy Kaling Emma Thompson film,
Right.
and I really liked that. That was really funny. Emma Thompson is hilarious in it. She's so good. She goes hard into that role. Makes a whole meal out of it. It's real fun to
Right
watch
on.
her in that role. And then Yesterday, which I really liked.
You did?
Yesterday, yeah, I
Yeah.
really liked Yesterday.
I've been wanting to see Yesterday for a while, but I just haven't had the chance to.
There's a lot of twists that they don't give away in the trailer that
that's good.
really helped
Sweet.
helped the movie for me.
That's cool.
Does
Um,
Paul McCartney make an appearance?
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna say
Don't
anything.
say- yeah, they'll ruin
don't
it.
say it. Don't say it.
I will not say. Again, a lot of twists in the movie that really helped my experience.
He's Paul McCartney.
Especially like there's a subplot that doesn't go at all the way I thought it was. I thought it would, and I'm just kind of like awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, I really liked Yesterday.
I wanna see that.
Yeah, that's really all I did this week.
So with Anna being bad, that's 2 in a row for Luc Besson that have not gone well.
What was the last one?
Valerian.
Oh, but I at least liked
His-
that movie.
Sure,
His
but I
but
mean,
it
like,
didn't do well. Yeah.
It's
His production company is doing really badly.
yeah.
And one of the biggest problems with Anna is actually that its lead. Like, so it's supposed to be a strong, empowering female character, but he shoots her in a way that's super sexist and like really leery.
Yeah. He is French. He's kind of yeah.
And she can't act at all, and
Aw.
it's clear that she's only in the role because she's pretty.
Mhm.
She does a thing that a lot of amateur actors do, which is yelling equal emotion. And so there's a couple of times where she's just yelling, but there's no emotion coming out of it. She just thinks that because she's yelling, there's emotion.
Damn.
And it's really unfortunate. She does hold the movie down, and that's unfortunate.
My boy Luke Evans is
It's not really her fault though, 'cause she was picked for the role.
Sure, it's just a shame that this guy gave us Fifth Element, but this is
Yeah.
where we're at
Yeah.
right now.
Again, like I said, his production company is in trouble.
And he self makes these movies too. And
Mhm.
Valerian cost him so much money. It's such
I
a
don't
shame
really
that
like Valerian. It just was.
Yeah.
He's not great at casting
No,
no,
he's not.
no.
because Dane DeHaan was 100% the wrong person for the role in
100.
Valerian.
yeah,
So
like we said, it should have been Idris Elba, and Matthew McConaughey should have been Lorelai. Laura.
who said this?
We did on the review
we
of
really?
Dark Tower and Valerian.
Oh, okay, okay.
Wait, did we
Got
review
it.
those both at the same
We
time?
did.
No, we
I don't-
reviewed War for the Planet of the Apes and Valerian at the same time.
Okay.
But Dark Tower came out like 2 weeks later.
Got it. Listen, honestly, I would watch a romantic Matthew McConaughey, Idris Elba sci-fi romp.
I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
would
I would
too. I
too.
just didn't remember that we
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that.
Oh, speaking of, I finished Gilmore Girls.
Oh, yes,
That's the last
you did
thing
that
I did
as well.
this past week. I finished,
Including the new season?
including the Year in the Life 4-issue miniseries. I really liked that show. That show was super charming and a lot of fun. The ending was like, they almost nailed the ending for Year in the Life, but then they do a thing where it's just kind of like, you sons of bitches, you almost had it.
I have not watched Gilmore Girls, but I have heard that the new ending pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could have done another 22 episodes. And it's the same girl, it's the same showrunner who does Mark Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Okay.
So I really like that showrunner.
Yeah.
So I really liked Gilmore Girls, and if Gilmore Girls was supposed to have 2 more seasons when the WB became the CW, but they ended up with 1 final season. And if they had those last 2 seasons, I think that show would have ended on a wonderful note.
Right on.
But it's unfortunate that's kind of both notes it ends on are kind of lackluster.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Boo.
Anyway, that is now all I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What's
Who's
up,
next?
guys? Mine's easy. I played more Zelda. Still playing that game. That game's still incredible until I was talking to Ben about this
Yeah,
earlier.
you are.
I hit a point where you have to be stealthy, and I'm not here to be stealthy, and it's really infuriating. And I played it for an hour, and I rage quit.
Well, luckily that's only one part of the whole game.
It better be.
It's only the one
Oh, man.
part.
I had to quit that game real
Aren't you
quick.
Hitman King?
I am Hitman King.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing that. Then I played Hitman, and I did some great stuff. There's a
So
new
you
mission
stopped
where like it's called the Musician, and you get a violin if you beat it, and you have to knock out all the musicians, and you have to do all these different things like certain quests.
Hey
and I'm
guys,
like,
check out the Basement Arcade special for Hitman. It's real good.
yeah,
There's
I'm
a bit where Sparks just goes, Ryan,
no.
don't.
Yeah, and that's how I play most of my games. Is fast and furious and loose and crazy.
Yeah.
And then I played Skyrim for about 15 minutes with mods, and I was like, wait a minute, I just said I was going to play Fallout 4 with mods. So I uninstalled Skyrim to install Fallout, and now I'm going to play that for probably a couple days before I get bored of that. That's me.
That's not all you did.
Wait, what else did I do?
We watched Stranger Things.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. We also watched Stranger Things. That show's really, really good.
We
We're gonna
slammed
try
that
and-
thing out in like 2 days.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did it pretty quick.
I'm gonna try and finish that this week.
Yeah, like just super quick. The more I think about it, I think it might be my favorite season. Truly, the stuff with the character, like the character arcs, like the stuff that I care about are character interactions, character arcs, and see people progress as people. And I think this season does more for almost all the characters in such beautiful, realistic ways, especially as them being teenagers.
Mhm.
It's really, really cool seeing these actors and these characters grow up in real life.
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's all for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I find it impressive how much of a hold Stranger Things has that most people watch it within a week.
Yeah. And like after season 2, like I wasn't like urging to run into Stranger Things, but after that first episode, I'm like, oh, they found it again. They
Yeah.
found that first season like
Spark.
Spark. Thank
yeah,
you.
I was super.
what?
I was super.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I was super engaged into that first episode, but just for, like schedules and
Yeah, of course.
we couldn't just get the next episode
Sure,
going.
sure.
But I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I loved in the first episode, and I can only talk about the first episode. Unfortunate, because I'm sure there's more of this. But like when Hopper is yelling at Mike before Mike being a little shit with
Uh-huh.
11 is so
Yeah,
good.
like the
Uh-huh.
realistic teenage aspects of this grander sci-fi epic. It's like it's the stuff I truly love about filmmaking and television. And like you can have these small scale things about a dad trying to protect his daughter while having these epic, this monster's taking over the world kind of thing. Like I eat this shit up. I love it. It's so good.
yeah.
No, everything. I don't know if I have a bad thing to say about Stranger Things season 3.
Yeah.
I just loved it that much. Fanny and I we watched it when I came home on the 3rd because it dropped on midnight. And we're like, hey, is it on? And because I get off at like 1, I get home at 1 o'clock in the morning. So we got home. I was like, hey, is it on? And we just watched the first 2 episodes. We're like, okay, we need to sleep, and then we'll watch the rest. And then on the 4th, we finished the whole thing.
And no spoilers.
No
but it's-
regrets.
It's really funny how this came out on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And how it's almost intrinsically tied to the plot.
Yeah.
Stuff involving the
Oh yeah, they knew what they were doing.
It's hilarious.
I
It's
love
so
it.
good.
I'm pretty sure they knew, like when they released it, it's like people are probably just gonna binge this all day. I binged it all day.
Yeah.
we.
It helps
finished
that it's only 8 episodes.
I saw it on. I even went and saw Spider-Man: Far From Home, and when we were coming home from Far From Home, Fanny and I were like, you know what, let's just finish Stranger Things. I can't wait to watch Stranger Things. Once we were done with Stranger Things, we're like, man, that was so good.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. Far From Home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Far From Home had a really strange
right.
reaction.
You weren't on last week,
Yeah.
unfortunately, so we missed you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I not get to share my thoughts. I don't have really anything to add that you guys didn't touch on. I was pretty much in line with all 3 of you. The only thing that I would have added is that I don't, and this is a Marvel Cinematic Universe thing, it's not a Spider-Man problem. I don't like the suit. I like the design of the suit. I don't like what they've done with CG costumes for the Marvel films. You see it with Iron Man post Civil War, but not pre Civil War. So with Iron Man, for example, and for the Amazing Spider-Man, they did the same thing. So the Amazing Spider-Man 2 will come into play, but they have the chest plate for Iron Man, and then they build onto that, and they will give a practical when they need to. but most of the time it is a CGI costume. But that chest plate is always practical. That chest plate is always there. But in Civil War, they decided to put everything over the chest plate, so it became a completely CGI costume instead of a partially CG costume. And that's happened to Spider-Man 2 in Civil War and subsequent movies. For Spider-Man, we clearly see set footage of Peter Parker in a practical costume. We have seen the footage. He has a practical suit. But if you look at the footage, sometimes there's little dots there, motion capture dots, and that's for them to overlay an entirely CGI costume on top of it. I think it makes it look really fake. I think it makes it look really weirdly leathery and glossy.
I will
fake.
agree with you on Iron Man, specifically. Yeah, like post Civil War, like. I just wish sometimes they use a little more practical stuff, because I definitely did that in the earlier movies, and I will agree with that. For me,
and
Spider-Man,
I think it looked better in Endgame
because that's nano stuff, so it's not.
But I didn't like the Infinity War suit, but I did like the Endgame suit, so I will acknowledge that the technology does vary.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I don't like the over reliance on CGI costumes.
I can't agree with you. I'll just say for me, it personally doesn't bother me. Like I'm absolutely sure there are special effects reasons that they have to do it that way. Like, I'm not a special effects guy. I don't know. It definitely impacts me more with Iron Man than Spider-Man. But I definitely can't disagree with you. Like, it's definitely noticeable sometimes.
I think something that bothered me a bit about it, in specific to that, in Spider-Man Far From Home, is that we're watching a character who specifically is wearing a motion capture suit, who's designed to be creating CGI illusions, and yet when his CGI illusions go up and then Spider-Man's CGI suit also comes into the screen, it's kind of hard to make the two feel distinct when they should. And his should feel like a practical suit, and it's just it does look.
Yeah, that's why
it does look cheap.
It's not real.
That's why I like the stealth suit, because that is a completely practical suit.
Yes.
They don't CG overlay that one except for the eyes.
Yeah.
That suit works for me really well.
It's great.
Amazing Spider-Man. I said Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a very good costume. It's a completely practical costume, sometimes CG, but when it's CG, they make sure there are still like wind flaps increasing.
To be honest, Amazing Spider-Man 2, as far as like translation of costume to screen, is my favorite Spider-Man costume translated to screen.
You know what? I'll agree with that one too.
Visually, the shots of him going in New York in Amazing Spider-Man 2 being the hero are visually incredible.
Yeah.
When you see in Amazing Spider-Man 2, when Peter Parker is falling, his suit is still moving in the breeze.
Yeah.
It's still tight, but it's still moving in the breeze.
Because that's supposed to be fabric, whereas Spider-Man suit, it is an Iron Man suit. It like shrinks
mesh
to him. It expand, or like a de-strength. What's the word? Like it strickens on
restricts.
Restricts. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Back to the Future shoes.
I get that there's a story reason for it, but I don't think.
You wish it was practical.
I wish it was
I do
practical,
too.
yeah.
I do too.
I have the same. I have a similar issue, but not exactly the same issue with the nano suits in the quantum suits in Endgame. I just don't. I don't like the over reliance on CG costuming. I much prefer practical costuming.
I agree. I will say the actual reason for that is because they were shooting both movies back to back, and they simply did not have the design of the suits ready.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that's just a logistical reason.
There's definitely like reasons for it at times, but I do think like an overall consensus on like the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, that I agree that just in general, and Spider-Man is one where it glaringly gets to me, is practical with CGI to enhance is the same way that I prefer my monster movies.
Yes.
Is the same way that I wish certain things like Beast and Beauty and the Beast live action were done. It's the same way I'd like my superhero costumes to be done. I prefer when it's practical. The fact that Jake Gyllenhaal insisted on having a practical suit most of the time so he could actually feel like he was wearing it, and they had to build it because they were just going to CGI him, makes a difference when you physically see him in the costume, when he is physically in that costume. It is impactful.
Funny enough, bringing up Spider-Man 3, like Sam Raimi, like those movies are very CGI heavy, but that is a dude who loves practicals. The Caravan of Garbage from the Weekly Planet just talked about Spider-Man 3. The bank scene where Sandman is robbing a bank and he's on like the bank car and stuff. They hired an amputee, so when Spider-Man punches Sandman, it looks like his arm's going through Sandman, but they hired a guy as an amputee, so they CGI'd the first part of the arm, and the amputee got to actually do like a fake punch.
Yeah.
So they use as much practical stuff as they can to make the CGI and the real stuff merge together. And I'm like, sometimes Marvel just has too much money. It's real the problem.
And see, that's the thing. So if the Spider-Man Homecoming suit and the Far From Home suit, it's the same suit, but like if they had
color difference,
if they had, we know the practical suit exists. So if they used that practical suit and then touched it up with CG, that looks a hell of a lot better than putting an entirely CG costume on top of an already practical costume.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
Peter Parker looked the best fighting the elementals when he was just a schoolboy in his casual clothes.
Yes.
Those scenes were excellent because I was Tom Holland doing stunts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
I can help. I'm strong and sticky.
I'm sticky.
Yeah, dude.
But for the most part, but outside of that and everything that you guys said on the episode, I really like the movie. I'm a little burnt out on the MCU right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time talking about it and a lot of time watching those movies.
Yes, we have.
Well, we have a year wait now.
That I'm so happy about
Yeah.
that, because if Black Widow was like next month, I'm hard out.
I don't think I could ever get burnt out on Marvel movies, but specifically like after Endgame was like, this is the finale to this thing. Having Spider-Man immediately after was like, I don't know. I love Spider-Man. I don't know if I really needed it this soon.
I need a cool down.
Yeah,
I think I could
like
have
again,
used
like
a
I'm
break
not.
too.
Yeah, I'm not burnt out, but like I don't need them this quickly, succinctly together.
I feel like if the intention wasn't to be able to make another Spider-Man film within 2 years, it would have been delayed.
yeah.
But they want it out so that they can get another Spider-Man movie out in 2 years and keep him young,
Business
keep him
reasons.
active.
I am happy to have the break till
Yeah.
the next Marvel
Sure.
Yeah.
Very happy about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway,
I watched Stranger Things this week.
Hell yeah,
That's
we did.
what I did. I also dealt with computer issues, so some of our YouTube stuff went up late, like Basement Arcade this week. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Computer issues, man. That happens.
Yeah.
How many times does this episode go up late? Well, not this specific episode. It might go up late. We don't know yet.
Who knows? But yeah. What else? Not a
I
lot.
heard you playing more ukulele.
Oh yeah,
I
I've been
heard
playing
that.
ukulele.
I don't know how much you played, but I heard the
You-
noises.
A bit.
Like a real ukulele?
No, ukulele, which
Oh.
is
The
a
Banjo Kazooie game.
like Banjo and Kazooie. It's from
All
the
right,
same
so
studio.
quick side note. The second when Ryan was saying that Sparks was playing ukulele, Sparks' girlfriend is here on her laptop, and she just looked straight at me and mouthed a lot.
Oh, okay, so it was a lot. Cool.
It wasn't a lot. It was like you napped for 4 hours, and I played while you. That is not a lot. Ask these guys who play video games a lot. Is 4 hours a lot?
I played
4 hours in 1 week.
I played Spider-Man PS4
Brandon,
for
you are
5
not
days.
there you go. See, Brandon doesn't even play video games.
Yeah.
5 days.
Yeah,
Okay, anyway,
I'm not gonna lie. 4 hours for me, I consider myself lucky if I could play it for 4 hours straight.
yeah.
I
Otherwise,
think I did. No, I think I did that Friday. When are you done with your week, Sparks? Because I don't want-
Well, I was all I was gonna say is that I just worked a lot, and fortunately, I was able to get yesterday off.
Yeah.
We all went to Disneyland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ben and I got to see Galaxy's Edge for the first time.
Oh yes, we did.
That's Smuggler's Bounty, Smuggler's Run.
Smuggler's Run.
That ride is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So my week was pretty much just like work because I have a week off this week. So I don't have to go to work tomorrow. So I am so stoked that I don't have to work, and I'm just like, yes, I can relax. Because Sparks messaged me on Thursday about going to Disneyland on Saturday, and I originally had other plans, but I'm like, nah, if there's a chance for me to go to Disneyland, I'm going to try and go to Disneyland. And I just thought about it, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try something. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I Jedi mind tricked my boss, and he gave me an extra day off.
That's amazing. I'm proud of you, dude.
So it's like,
You usually don't try to do that stuff.
no,
So I'm proud of you for trying.
No, so I'm like, you know what? Because I want an extra day. I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I hate coming home that late. I
feel
needed
you.
some time to myself. I needed to relax. So Friday I had a day off. I played some video games and I watched episodes 7 and 8 of Star Wars. I watched 7 with my girlfriend's best friend because she's never seen these movies until she met me. So hearing her reactions from
Any Star Wars or new ones?
any Star Wars.
Starting with 7.
No, we started with 1.
Oh.
Well, no, we started with 4, 5, and 6. Then we went 1, 2. No, we did.
You started on Star Wars, and this was the weekend that you showed her Force Awakens.
Got it.
Yes,
The first
yes.
one.
There we
Yes.
go. There we
Got
go.
Okay.
She's seen all the other films except for Solo and Last Jedi, but we were watching 7.
You mean Rogue One?
Yeah, Rogue One. Yeah.
Because
No, she did see Rogue One.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she did watch Rogue One, but she hasn't seen Solo or Last Jedi yet.
Okay.
But now she's seen Last Jedi.
No.
Oh, you
Wait.
watched that without her?
Yeah, we watched
Okay.
it
Got
without her because she watched The Force Awakens and she loved it. She was yelling and screaming and absolutely loving it every time. Like when Harrison Ford came on screen, she was yelling. Carrie Fisher,
Hey,
she was
I'm
crying.
cranky.
She screamed no when Ben Solo stabbed.
Spoilers.
When
I'm just kidding.
When
Kylo
Ben
Ren.
Solo stabbed Papa Solo.
Yep, pretty much. So the whole time, and then after she left, Fan and I were just like, man, I want to watch Star Wars again. So we watched Episode 8.
And I'm so glad you did, because you put Episode 8 on your Instagram story.
I was Instagram story, yeah.
And you did mostly the throne room fight scene. And I was watching that. I'm sitting there going like, man, Last Jedi is really good.
Yeah,
It is.
didn't I send you a
Yeah.
message? I was like,
You said love.
love, love it.
Because like I was engaged watching through his phone.
on a phone. Like, oh yeah, this is still dope.
I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for your next update for the next couple 10 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm rewatching Last Jedi. I'm like, man, Last Jedi is great.
Yeah.
Just to prep myself because I was just so hyped to go to Galaxy's Edge on yesterday. And
On yesterday, yes.
And when we went, I want to say, like, when we got into Disneyland, we were walking up. We entered the land through the Hungry Bear side on the far western side. So you go through the Resistance outpost first. So as we were walking up to that, you can hear the music and the forest.
So that's the opposite way of coming in. So like
Yeah.
you don't see all the stuff first.
No, you don't.
That's awesome.
So just hearing that as we're walking up, I think I was having like a religious experience.
Yeah.
I was just so happy. I was just so like, oh my god, I'm here. And then I saw the X-wing, I saw the Resistance kiosks and the future queue to Rise of Resistance.
It took me 2.5 hours to get there, but I was also happy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
Traffic sucks.
Traffic was horrible.
Yeah.
It told me an hour and a half, and then I was like, nope, one more hour. You bitches.
How do you just add an hour? You're awful. That's awesome.
The
Southern
traffic was so bad. It was an awful driving experience. But the Smuggler's Run
Oh, dude.
was kind of a religious experience for me.
I
really
it
liked
really
it.
hit like walking up there was like, oh my god, we're here. I'm finally here at Galaxy's Edge. This is great. And it's been dead because I was preparing myself, like mentally preparing, because we went to Disneyland on a Saturday in July. Everyone's off of school. Everyone's off of work. That place should be packed like a can of sardines.
It's been actually a problem for both theme parks, Universal Studios and Disneyland. Like the attendance has been down real low this summer.
That's so crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we all don't make enough money to always do these things, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This country's in a deficit.
Yay!
Yeah, but you know what? Being there on yesterday, it was great. Like when I first saw the Falcon for the very first time, I was like, it's there. There it is.
The amount of detail that's in that ride, in that whole park, is incredible.
Being able to pilot. I got to pilot. We rode at 3 times yesterday.
I rode it twice.
You rode it twice. I got to ride it 3 times, and I got to pilot each time, and it was just like,
Yeah, I got to pilot both times too. And Sparks was on the first time, and we crashed a lot. I was like, "We're good. We got this. Don't worry about it. I got it. We're good. Nope, we're good."
I think Megan was still shouting at you. You're still driving. It was a lot of fun. I'm mildly jealous of both of you that your first experiences were getting to like walk all the way up there and be pilots. Because Ryan and I, our first experiences were as engineers.
Double engineer.
So we didn't have that as like the very first time we're behind the wheel of it.
yeah. But
So that's really cool.
well, also I think it was cool because my buddy Scott, he was at VidCon, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I just bought myself a 2-day pass to Disneyland because VidCon apparently he was hating it." So he was like, "Are you gonna be in Disneyland today?" I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'll meet up with you later." So he goes single rider to Smuggler's Run. He comes out of it, and there's only a 45-minute wait for the ride. So we're like, "Hey, guess what? You're going on with us again." And we had a full cabin of 6 people, and our whole party was 6 people. And as the first time going on that ride, and then the whole group said, "Yeah, let Ben and Fanny go and pilot the Falcon." I'm like, oh. I got to sit in the Han seat. Fanny was on the Chewie side.
The Chewie side gets to go to Lightspeed.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realize that.
That's
Punch
fun.
it. I got to go the second time I went on Smuggler's Run. I got to sit on Chewie's side, and every time Fanny was yelling at me to do stuff, I always answer back with, like,
Hell
try
yeah.
to do Chewbacca.
Trying, I love it.
It was Smuggler's Run is great.
Yeah,
All of Galaxy's
can't
Edge.
wait for that new ride to open.
All of Galaxy's
For-
Edge is great.
Are we talking about that?
No, the Disney World is in December.
Talk about it right now if you want.
Well, I
Good.
thought they announced at the Rise of the
Disney
Resistance.
World is in
Rise of
December.
Resistance opens January 2020 in Disneyland. In Disney World, it opens with the opening of the land in December.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, screw
It's
'em.
a long time away.
Yep.
Actually, it's not that long.
It's unfortunate for our friends. I was actually going to bring them up anyway. So it's unfortunate for our friends at Downright Nerdy who are planning to visit in December and hopefully have both the rides open by then. That will not be
looks
the
like
case,
you're going to
sadly.
the other place.
We'll just have to make the trip worth it for them in other ways.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
They
dirty.
were messaging us. It did sound a little dirty.
We can do our own Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, God.
It's going to overthrow the government.
Yeah, they were messaging us while we were at the land. We were just having conversations about a whole bunch of different things. I hopped on their live stream earlier today for their podcast episode for this week, just to defend my boy Goku in a battle against Scarlet Witch
Hell yeah.
in their competition. But yeah, just wanted to give them their proper shout outs.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
they
They
always
actually,
being an awesome supportive fan base. And now you bring up Last Jedi is really awesome, and I know that's going to get them all riled up. So get them ready for our
they don't like
discussion.
Last Jedi.
That's correct. He doesn't like Last Jedi.
Heck yeah, I can't
One-
wait to talk about
Actually,
it.
one of the things I
We'll
want.
get Ken Knapsack to get them to
Oh,
talk
boy.
to
Well,
them.
really quick anecdote, because I was thinking about this when I was watching Last Jedi and Force Awakens, is that both are really good films, but for different reasons.
Uh-huh.
Like when I was rewatching Force Awakens with
Oh my God! Can I just quickly
Quickly,
give you the
yes.
scene? So he's talking about this in the exact same spot that you and Sparks and Ryan Sparks and I talked about it at Earl of Sandwich. We had the same conversation.
we did.
When we were talking about Star Wars.
Okay.
Because Ryan,
When we went to Disneyland together, Ben did this yesterday.
Oh.
Same spot, talked about Star Wars.
Oh, that's funny.
And yeah.
Hey, that place is great. Earl Sandwich.
Oh, no,
Earl Sandwich is the place to talk about Star
I
Wars.
Yeah.
love Earl Sandwich for life. Hell
Great
yeah.
meatballs, baby.
Hey, that chicken avocado, favorite. Anyways, so because while I was watching it with Fanny's friend Grace, who has seen the original trilogy, thanks to me, and we're watching Force Awakens, she's like, "Oh my God, it's just like the originals. I love this. And she agrees. She likes the originals and not the prequels all that much. Sorry, Brandon.
Hater.
No. She likes it all. She likes it all. But as she was watching, she was like reminiscing, like, "Oh, hey, that's that one thing from that one movie, or that's that." And as I was watching Force Awakens, I thought this movie is very nostalgic, but at the same time, it's still not bad.
Hey, you could be good and nostalgic.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't hit you over the head with
It-
the nostalgia.
That's yeah.
I think
That's
Force
basically
Awakens.
Stranger
Force
Things.
Awakens. Yes,
Yeah.
I think Force Awakens is great. Personally,
Yeah,
I
and-
love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie too.
I love
And
both
then,
the new movies.
As I'm watching Last Jedi with Fanny again, just the two of us, I'm looking at it, I was like, no, this is what I feel like Last Jedi is what Star Wars needed. It's like you got the nostalgia stuff out
in the
of
butt.
the way, and then it's like when Luke tosses his lightsaber behind him, it's like, okay, buckle up, sucker. You're on a new ride now.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll rile up Downright Nerdy. Thank you for that, Ben. We do actually, before we get into the news, we do have a giveaway to announce.
We do.
Oh, we're doing it
Ooh.
now.
Yeah, let's
Hell
do it
yeah.
now up
Oh.
top instead of wait for the
Up
end
top,
of the
down
We
episode.
do it up top. We don't wait for the end. Shots fired.
So thanks for listening to this almost an hour-long intro to the
Oh,
episode.
really?
Hell,
Holy crap.
this is my dream.
So yeah,
I loved my day yesterday. Okay.
We're going to have to put in some timestamps.
yeah. So we had a giveaway, and in the giveaway, at the instructions, if you follow the instructions on Instagram, you will win a Mondo Spider-Man Homecoming poster, a handmade cup cozy, Spider-Man cup cozy, and Spider-Man keychain, both of them handmade by Crafted by Z.
Awesome.
A Spider-Man stealth suit from Far From Home print by Coldest Heart Around. And you had to follow all three, like the post, and you also get a comic book notebook where you can make your own comic book if you want to.
Ooh.
So we had a lot of entries. It went really well for us. Thanks in part to Downright Nerdy.
Thank you guys. We really love you.
You guys had over 20 submissions. Somehow, unfortunately, spoiler alert, you did not win.
Tried real hard though. I'm sorry.
The winner ended up being Non-Victim 1, whose friend says, "You ain't gonna win shit." So, in your face.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So congratulations.
Hell yeah.
Message us with your shipping details, and we will get that stuff out to you as soon as we can.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
So congratulations. Thank you everyone for supporting us and for entering our giveaway.
Yes.
It went really well for us.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking we should do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Peter
We
Man.
won't do a weekly one, but I think we should set up another one down the road.
When something
So, yeah.
happens, we might do this again.
So,
Big,
yeah,
big
that was-
movie release time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good for us, real fun for us. We got a lot of good promotion for that.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Again, Non-Victim 1, send us your information.
Everybody
victim
who
this time.
responded to the giveaway, thank you.
Try
Next
again next
time.
time.
Next time, yeah.
Try again next time.
Appreciate you.
All right, shall we get into our bread and butter?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Oh man, are we here?
And here's your bread and your butter.
Okay, not in my ear, thank you.
All right, then, time for our bread and butter.
Oh man.
Let's get into some sad news first, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
We had two major deaths this week
Oh yeah.
that hit the nerd community pretty hard. One is bank robber Rip Torn. No, I'm kidding. That's horrible. But
Wait, what?
he robbed a bank. He attempted to rob a bank at one time. It was about
Hey
10
man,
years ago.
we all have a past.
About 10 years ago.
Oh, now I'm remembering.
Yeah.
Oh, he was troubled.
Because I remember, so Rip Torn passed away at the age of 88 this week. Fans will probably know him from Dodgeball. If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
He was Zeus and Hercules.
Zeus and
Yes.
Hercules, and
Oh,
he
really?
was
Zed.
And he was Zed in Men in Black.
Yes.
Was-
He's also in Freddy Got Fingered, one of the most insane movies ever committed to film.
He's also Hephaestus in God of War.
He is.
He
in
is.
God of War 3.
Yeah. So yeah, he's really great actor. Wonderful actor.
His voice is like, it's instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know the story about 10 years ago, I had known that something. I was like, wait, I thought so. He passed away. I thought he was like quote unquote canceled. Like he was like racist or something. Like I
No,
was
yeah, yeah.
misremembering something, and I was like, it was something that happened with him and
something big because I remember when Men in Black 3 came out. I remember
he wasn't hired back for Men in Black 3. Exactly.
Yeah, people said that the actor because I thought Rip Torn was dead for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of sucks because I know Dodgeball and then Men in Black, but then when Men in Black 3 came out,
God, Dodgeball's so good.
yeah, I know,
And
it
it's
is
Emma Thompson as O taking over,
for Z,
and
or
it's
for
a
Zed.
really funny eulogy
Uh-huh.
in Men in Black 3. It's one of my
But
favorite scenes
I
of the
thought
movie.
he was already dead. That's
Mhm.
why I figured, he's not in Men in Black 3 because he died. I didn't know that he.
Yeah, there was a controversy. So what the controversy was that he was arrested for drunkenly trying to rob a bank. In his hometown.
On January 29th, 2010, first-degree burglary, firearm, while intoxicated.
Yes.
He had a gun. He
yeah.
was blackout drunk.
In his hometown.
And this dude's really rich, so he doesn't need to do this.
Wow.
I mean,
Like,
now,
it's for a role.
now we can laugh about it, but
Man, that's crazy.
yeah. So yeah, he passed away. Sadly, it's sad to miss him.
Yeah, he was like a legendary like quote unquote like crazy actor. Like he went through a lot of like trouble throughout his years for being just a crazy personality. He was really, really famous in the 90s for the Larry Sanders Show. It's a show I've seen. It's
Which
on
he
HBO.
won an Emmy for.
He won
Mhm.
multiple. He's like really celebrated for that show. So like we know him from like nerdy stuff, but like he's an acclaimed comedian for decades.
Oh, yeah.
Decades. So it's just 88's a long life. Like it's a
Yeah,
shame. It's a shame, but
it
like
is.
he's definitely going to be remembered for a lot of great roles.
I mean,
Yes.
luckily they still use him as far as I know, at the Men in Black ride over at Universal Studios Orlando.
I recently watched Men in Black 1, and that Zed is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not hosting an intergalactic
Electric
hacker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But and of course one of his favorites,
My boy. Hello,
And-
Hercules.
and that's right because he didn't do the voice for Zeus in Kingdom Hearts 3.
No.
No, it was a different guy.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but the guy who he voice matches Rip Torn pretty well. But what was I gonna say? You could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
Yeah.
How many people quote that?
One of the most quotable lines in history.
Yeah.
dude. Dodgeball, an American classic.
It is, and I will never
Yeah.
take it away
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that movie is great.
The
Nobody makes me bleed
so,
my own blood.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Rip.
The
Yeah.
other Hector, Jesus. The other actor who passed away this week was Eddie Jones, who is more prominently known in the nerd community as Jonathan Kent from Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
Oh,
This-
okay.
Ooh.
This is the Dean Cain Lois and Clark
Yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away at the age of 82.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, the story is very weird. I haven't asked my dad about it, but you, Brandon, you know I have a signed Dean Cain.
I do know this, yeah.
Headshot.
We've seen it. Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
It's not a headshot,
Or
by the way.
It's a full body
It's a
shot.
full
well,
body
it's a full body shot of Dean
I mean,
Cain
there
in
is
the
a
suit.
shot of his head in there,
Yeah.
so you're not
But
totally wrong.
Anyways, it's signed and autographed. My dad got. My dad said it was either I don't know if it was Dean Cain's dad or the actor who played his dad on Lois and Clark. He knew him somehow. He helped him out for something, and he was able to get me a autographed picture of him.
Nice.
So I don't know if it was him or Dean Cain's actual father, but either way, this is sad because I loved Lois and Clark when
This
I was a
is-
kid. That was my favorite Superman show.
Yeah, that was your Superman. That was essentially your Superman for a long time.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it's really. I don't know him from a lot of other. I don't think anything else. But yeah, that is a bummer to losing Jonathan Kent.
He's a voice in Big O.
Oh,
Is
nice.
he
I'm
Really?
looking up. He does a lot of small
Man,
stuff.
Big O's been getting a lot of play from us recently. I really liked Big
yeah,
O.
Big O's great.
I
Now I
wanna
want to
see-
watch Big
I want to
O.
see Big O again.
yeah.
I watch it.
Yeah.
I seen like an episode and I thought, oh sweet, giant robot.
That show was awesome. Anyway, so yeah, R.I.P. Eddie Jones. Really
Yeah.
sad. All right, shall we move on to the meat of the episode?
Me-
Well, this is bread and butter.
We are in bread and butter.
So
I mean,
this
Are we having like a
Not time for the
calzone over here? What's going on?
bread to the meat of the bread and butter.
Yeah, sure.
It's the really disgusting
Meat and
bread. that's
potatoes?
got-
Are you stealing from Michael?
A double down.
Maybe. Wait.
Wait,
Yeah.
meat and potatoes.
That's
I
what
love it.
that's what he calls it.
Yeah, so on
And
Downright
Ri-
Nerdy
yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
Michael Carl started saying meat and potatoes because he kept starting to say bread and butter too
And
much.
then,
I love it.
Yeah,
Good.
Riley always called him out. I was like, "Hey, stop listening to that podcast." He's like, "No,
Don't stop.
yeah,
Don't
please don't."
stop. Don't stop me now. So Black Label has some news.
Gee, man, like
Uh,
I know it's not Vertigo.
Right.
This is so awesome though.
So we're going to start with actually the Vertigo-esque title real quick. So the
Some Vertigo news.
This is not where I thought this was going to happen, but welcome nonetheless. So John Constantine is getting another new title. This will
What?
be his third title since the New 52.
Yes.
Mhm.
This is going to be called John Constantine, Hellblazer. It's written by Simon Spurrier,
Yes.
who is currently writing Dr. Aphra, and art
Sandman books.
by Aaron Campbell, who wrote a book who was the art for a book called Infidel. This is going to be a Sandman spin-off book.
Yeah, it's weird. It's great and weird.
Yeah, so it's part of the Sandman universe, which John Constantine has never been affiliated with before. But if we get a proper Vertigo-esque John Constantine from this, I'm down.
That's the
Ooh.
weird thing because they aren't. Constantine is not from Sandman, but in the Vertigo universe, they're all in the same universe,
Right.
Which is the DC universe, but it's its own side Vertigo universe.
Yeah.
This makes me truly believe that like Swamp Thing is coming back to quote unquote Vertigo, and like John Constantine is coming back to vote Vertigo, like doing what they used to do, what was a good best-selling book. Don't make it the PG-13 New 52 Constantine because nobody wants it and nobody liked it.
That Rebirth Hellblazer book was actually not bad.
The Rebirth one,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, the Rebirth
I
one
didn't
was
read
good.
that one, but the New 52 one was not good.
No, it wasn't good.
So if we're going back
You
to
could
like
say that about 80% of New 52.
That's true. That's very true. If we're going back to mature, these side stories, and it's just under Black Label, beautiful.
And
dude.
not only
beautiful. Make him rated R again. Make him smoke again.
Yeah,
I'm sure
and
he
hey
smokes
guys,
now.
take Animal Man with you.
Dude,
Yes,
I'm not joking. Like,
seriously.
I think this is the test. I think if Constantine is successful, then they're like, all right, clearly this is what the people want.
So I'll read this. Hellblazer is the one title I've always aspired to write. Ever since John Constantine slunk from Alan Moore's brain into Swamp Thing, dropping secrets like grenades, bewildering vegetables, and spinning mysteries, I've been down to his misadventures with eerie gravity. John Constantine is the cynic's magician, a man selfish drives and cataclysmic self-knowledge, who tries to do the right thing in spite of himself, in spite of the cost, in spite of the vile and violent world he occupies. He may not be the hero we need, but he's definitely the bastard we deserve. That's Spurrier talking. This is going to be launched with a October one-shot called The Sandman Universe Presents Hellblazer #1, and it actually ties into an older Sandman comic, older Hellblazer comic from the old Vertigo days. It's about I don't want to read it because it's so far away. I messed up the thing, but it's about a older John Constantine coming back from the past,
Guys, old man Constantine.
to stop his horrible future from happening.
That's brilliant.
Yo,
And it ties into I think it's called The Long Night, which was a Hellblazer miniseries
Okay.
from Vertigo. So yeah, real cool.
That
if
is
the writer
great.
said it's not the hero we need, but the bastard we deserve. The
Yeah.
second that the writer said that, I'm like, I'm in.
Real
I'm in.
quick, are we going to talk about Legends of Tomorrow news at all this week? Do we have
Legends of
anything?
Tomorrow news?
Okay. Do you know what the next season's going to be about?
Yes. I just wasn't going to talk about it because I'm the only one who watches it.
No,
but
it
go
makes me
ahead.
interested. So you know the girl that Constantine is supposed to like save, and like she gets damned, and like it's the reason he's like all sad and
Oh,
stuff.
from his show?
Well, from his entire history, like the
I know,
girl-
but like I remember from the show.
yeah, Astra. She's the villain for next season, and she's grown up and mad that Constantine.
So this happened at the end of the last season.
Yes.
Constantine fell into hell,
Mm-hmm.
and he met her, and the trio of the devils,
Mm-hmm.
they tricked him into thinking that he had to pick between saving her soul or saving Brandon J. Rouse, character of the Atom, who was also trapped in hell.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked her because that was the longer sin on his heart. And when they showed him the image of her as when she disappeared into hell, and then he meets this fully adult woman who actually enjoys hell and has bent hell to her whim because she stopped waiting for Constantine a long time ago.
So this guilt on Constantine, like his whole character arc about trying to save this girl for decades and stuff, like she's now his villain, and that's going to make me start watching that show.
Yep.
Because that is incredible.
Yeah, I didn't want to say
It
anything.
just reminded
'cause
me
I
of
was gonna
stuff like
let you
that.
guys watch it, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, and just because like I saw the news report, I'm like,
No,
and I'm like, that's awesome. So like, so much cool Constantine stuff is happening right now, and I'm like, oh baby, it's great. I'm so happy.
Okay, so I'm gonna read. So the one shot Hellblazer 1 will be in October. Then the series will launch in November properly. The one shot will be written by Spurrier, and then the art will be by Marc Marcio Takara, who did Wolverine: The Long Night.
Also worked on X-23. It's a great artist.
Yeah. So this description says it's going to build on a momentum from the original Books of Magic miniseries. Sorry, not the one I said. Where Tim Hunter traveled into the future and encountered an older, dying Constantine in the midst of a magical war. That version of Constantine is now somehow alive and in the present. The series will focus on Constantine's struggle to understand his current predicament and prevent that future war from taking place, even if it means killing Tim Hunter to break the cycle.
That sounds great.
I'm assuming probably because they're doing this because Constantine is on Justice League Dark.
Is that? Oh my God! Is that book still going on?
It's real good.
I just didn't realize it was still happening. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a really good book.
I need to pick that book up. Crap.
We were just looking at the Swamp Thing cover for it the other day.
I know. It's so many issues in. Like, I don't want to. I could just pick the trade up. Yeah.
And so this will launch the second season, the second quote-unquote season of Sandman, and all the other books that have been going on will also relaunch.
That's so cool.
I don't think relaunch, but I think we'll continue.
Yeah. This is awesome. This is really cool news.
Yeah, that's super stoked
Again,
about
like, we make the joke, like, I just wish it was called Vertigo, like, but like Black Label is giving me almost everything I want.
Yeah.
Like, really quickly.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like we were never questioning the idea behind
Yeah.
the line combining. It was the why are we calling it Black Label?
It just it's really great. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah. So the other news is that Jeff Lemire is launching 2 books with
Oh
the
my
Black Label.
My baby.
Which got me and Ryan and everyone, I'm assuming, really excited. The first one, probably the
I
most
never heard of him. Go on.
probably the most excited, is Joker Killer Smile, which he is doing with his longtime collaborator now, Andrea Sorrentino,
God,
which
oh
he's
my
collaborated
God.
with the likes of Green Arrow, Old
Yeah.
Man Logan, currently Gideon Falls, which is
Yep.
an incredible series
Mhm.
for Image. It's going to be a new 3-issue miniseries that will focus on the relationship between Joker and an idealistic new Arkham Asylum doctor. As Joker tries to manipulate his way to freedom, this doctor will find his happy professional and personal lives crumbling around him. Jeff Lemire had this to say: "Getting to work with my longtime collaborator Andrea Sorrentino on a Joker story is very exciting. The Joker is an iconic character, and we wanted to create something that challenges readers to look at him in a new, horrifying way." And I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Don't
dude.
glorify the Joker.
No.
He's terrifying. I'm super stoked for that. It's gonna be a 3-issue miniseries, probably prestige like the other ones. So yeah, that sounds real cool.
This is
Yeah.
like truly exciting. Like, this and the next book, I'm like, it's so cool that, like, because excuse me, Jeff Lemire, like, he writes like PG-13 books, but like much like a Rick Remender, like when he goes a little harder, he really shines.
Justice League Black Hammer just dropped this week.
Yeah. Oh
my
shit!
God.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I have to go to the comic store. But like, he gets to do his mature stuff with established characters like, you know, Batman, Joker, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like, again, like this in its next book, I'm like, I can't see how these are bad at all. These are so good
I actually prefer his harder edge stuff to his more PG work.
because he's limited.
Yeah.
Much like a Remender, like he's limited when he has to do stuff like
Like
that.
I always say, like, I loved Animal Man, but I liked Justice League United.
Yeah.
Like, it was a fine book, but it wasn't anywhere near as good as his other work.
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, it's Justice League Canada was supposed to be called.
Yeah.
at the time.
Although Animal Man's in that book, and he portrays a really funny, like, washed up actor Animal Man.
Yeah.
I love his version of Animal Man a lot.
Yeah, Justice League United was actually supposed to be where the Animal Man story was supposed to end.
Yeah.
But because he left that book prematurely, the Animal Man story is left hanging. His
Yeah.
Animal Man run will never finish, and it bugs me to no end.
Bugs
Yeah.
me too.
Anyway, so yeah.
It makes me feel rotten to the core.
Oh, God. The other one is called
Breakfast Club.
The other one is called
Descendants.
The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage.
Wait, multiple?
Multiple.
I thought it was one.
Nope, it is The Deaths of Vic Sage.
All right.
This is the question. This is the original question returning to comics. Also, at the same time, Renee Montoya as the question is returning to comics in the pages of Lois Lane. By
Oh,
Greg
really?
Rucka.
Oh.
So Renee Montoya as the questions back also.
Oh my God.
So I'm super excited. I love the question. The question is one of my more obscure fascinations. I think he's a cool character.
Everything you need to know about him is if you watch one of the episodes of Justice League Unlimited,
Hell,
he's sorting
yeah.
through Batman's trash.
Yes, he
That's
is.
everything you need to know about what type of character he is. He's so good.
Doesn't he also talk to
dates,
Huntress?
He dates Huntress,
Mhm.
and there's a bit where they're trying to do.
That's the bit I was
they're
about to
trying
talk
do, like sexy talk on
Yeah,
the phone, and Helena is like, "What? So what are you wearing?" Is like, blue trench coat, green shirt.
Yeah.
No, you're really bad at this. Orange socks. And he opens up a can of ice cream. Aha! 32 flavors.
Yeah.
He's super. He's the most paranoid person in the entire DC universe.
Yeah.
And they rebooted him for the New 52 with the Trinity of Sin and was awful.
I pretend that part doesn't happen.
You make like go ahead, Ben.
No, but one of the things I love about that version of the question from New 52 is that the little plastic things on the ends of shoelaces, I will never forget what they're called. They're called acklets, and their true purpose is diabolical, according to the question.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah?
remember that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
but these two books that Jeff Lemire is writing for Black Label, I'm actually more excited for the question than I am
Because
for
we
the
don't
Joker.
we don't get a lot of Vic Sage.
No, we don't. And we haven't for a long time.
Exactly,
We have for a
because
long time.
question is one of those. I feel like since we started doing this podcast, I've been talking especially to Ryan, to Brandon. You've helped me get into the flow of a lot of obscure characters, Swamp Thing in particular, and then I'm talking to Ryan about even more obscure characters. To me, it's like, no, I want to read the question. I give more damns about Victor Von Doom as infamous Iron Man. I give more damns about that than, obviously Joker's going to sell because it's the freaking Joker. Everyone knows him. I want to read the question.
Whenever Batwoman, when the news to Batwoman started, my first thing was like, man, they better bring in Renee Montoya and bring in the question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, goddamn.
I think it's a sure thing.
I would love that because Renee and her were almost to be married.
Yeah.
Before the New 52 killed her off page, and then they brought her back for Rebirth. It's really weird. So this is a 4-issue miniseries. The question, the deaths of Vic Sage, that Jeff Lemire will be writing with Dennis Cohen and Bill Sienkiewicz, which they are going to be. It's kind of a continuation of their last book with Denny O'Neil. I want to say
Denny O'Neil, sure.
Yeah, I think it's Denny O'Neil. So the new series. Oh, it's this quote right here.
There you go.
This new series directly harkens back to Cohen and Sienkiewicz previous question series with writer Denny O'Neil. The Deaths of Vic Sage opens with the faceless vigilante seeing his end, which sparks a large mystery that spans from the Wild West to the 1930s.
Oh.
Is
this a period piece?
I don't know.
To the 1930s?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Oh, yes, this is awesome.
I'm so down.
This is a weird period piece, because the question's an old-ass character, right? Like Rorschach's based on him.
He's a Charleston character.
Yeah, so it makes... Yeah, dude, this is totally going to be like an old-school book, I bet.
Yeah, he was for those of you who don't know, Watchmen was based off of Charleston characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because he couldn't use the Charleston characters. Charleston was Blue Beetle, was Captain Atom in the question. Like, those were the Charleston characters that DC bought in the 80s.
Yep.
No, 70s, I think.
A while ago.
Yeah, and then the question just came over from the DC universe because of that, much like Shazam.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why Rorschach is the question and not Batman. A lot of people get that wrong. The Rorschach is supposed to be the question.
Okay.
Dude, Night Owl is definitely Batman.
Yeah,
Night Owl is Batman, yes.
I mean, come on.
But he's actually supposed to be Blue Beetle.
Yes, you're right. That's true.
Wow.
They're all the same thing.
You know what? The connections have been realized. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dr. Manhattan is Captain Atom. That's the easiest one-to-one.
Son of a bit.
Yeah.
Or apparently it wasn't the easiest one-to-one.
I didn't know who
People
Captain...
think he's Superman.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I get, but he's supposed to be Captain Atom.
I understand, but yes, he's supposed to be Captain Atom.
Yeah.
Captain Atom's the one with the silver skin who, if you
Yep.
puncture... Okay,
Yeah.
Now I remember who he is.
Wonder Woman hits him with a sword and he explodes in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think we just blew a lot of people's minds about
Yeah.
Watchmen. So Lemire had this to say, Dennis Cohen's run on the question has been a touchstone for me as a creator and a fan of comics for a long time. Getting the chance to team with Dennis and Bill Sienkiewicz to return to a hub city and Vic Sage is a dream come true.
I might actually check out some of this older question stuff, because if it's going to tie directly to it, I haven't read much question outside of like modern stuff.
Yeah, me too.
So I might check that out.
Yeah,
I haven't read any question, and the second I saw the whole Trinity of Sin part, I thought, no.
I'm just saying, you don't take a regular dude who digs through trash and you make him omnipotent,
a demigod?
like, demigod.
No, you
It's
don't do that bullshit.
It's literally the opposite of what he is.
We don't even know who he was supposed to be because Phantom Stranger was retconned to be Judas.
Really?
You don't remember that?
I try to forget.
Right. Okay.
He
So
wasn't he?
for those of you who don't know, the Trinity of Sin were supposed to be like the big thing. That's
Pandora's box.
Pandora's box. The Phantom Stranger was retconned to be Judas. So they gave him 12 pieces of silver around his neck. There was a cool issue where actually he makes the Spectre.
Okay.
That was a cool issue. He
All right.
betrays Jim Corrigan and makes the Spectre.
Speaking of the Phantom Stranger, you want to see a great Phantom Stranger
Holy
portrayal? Watch
shit.
Swamp Thing on
Something
DC
I
Universe.
never thought
Is
would
Phantom
happen.
Stranger on
Yes.
We haven't
Dude,
told him because he doesn't watch
Swamp
the
Thing
episodes.
is incredible. Oh my god.
The Phantom Stranger has appeared.
He does.
Multiple times.
Remember when Spectre showed up in Constantine?
Yeah,
That was so cool.
it was. It's much like that, but probably even better.
That Constantine show was real good.
Yeah,
I miss that show. Anyway.
yeah.
All right, so more Joker news, actually.
Oh,
For those of you who like Halloween, the movie,
Or The Thing.
or The Thing, the movie. That doesn't work. I was going for a thing. I did it. Yeah, John Carpenter is apparently writing a Joker comic.
weird.
This is nuts.
This is so cool and weird.
Yeah, John Carpenter, the legendary filmmaker, is
Absolutely one of my favorites.
writing with Anthony Birch a Joker one-shot called Joker: The Year of the Villain, which obviously will tie into the Year of the Villain stuff
Yes.
that's going on with Justice League.
I'm pretty sure Anthony Birch is the same guy. He wrote Borderlands 2. He was a
Yes,
primary.
he did.
Yeah, he's a video game writer, and he's trying to do.
He
comics
also
now.
did the Boom. Once upon Kurt Russell's John Carpenter books.
Escape from
New York.
Gotcha.
He did the crossover with the other Kurt Russell.
Big Time.
Big
Little
Time
China.
in Little China.
Gotcha. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
This
he
guy's
did the crossover comic.
cool.
for
So
them.
he knows John Carpenter very well. Okay.
Yeah, I guess he worked. This is not the first time they've worked together.
Awesome.
So yeah, they're doing a one shot with Philip Tan and Mark Deering.
Philip Tan's great.
Yeah, Philip Tan's real good.
Yeah.
The solicitation for the book says, now a human-alien hybrid, Lex Luthor has made his appeal to the world, asking its citizens to embrace doom and give in once and for all to evil, humanity's true nature. In exchange, he will grant them the tools to ascend to their ultimate selves. While some DC villains and heroes are willing to hear what Apex Lex has to offer,
Apex Lex.
the clown prince of crime isn't going to wait around until Lex gets to him. This puts the Joker on a mission to get his swagger back in a world gone bad by outbatting everyone else, proving that the greatest evil is always the one that leaves them laughing.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Do you guys remember
this was the most batshit announcement.
Yeah. You guys remember the Dark Knights? The Dark Knights Metal books?
Yeah.
And all those tie-ins had all the supervillains gaining like extra powers?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like that, with Lex doing the exact same thing for the villains.
It's a little bit. I mean, it's Scott Snyder also.
Yeah.
What Scott Snyder is trying to do, to give a little bit of what Justice League is about. The universe is about to be judged, and it needs to make a shape. It needs to either make the shape of justice or the shape of doom. If it makes the shape of doom, it's destroyed. So Lex is trying to make the shape of doom, whereas the Justice League are trying to make the shape of justice. And it's kind of a race until they get to the shores of judgment.
Gotcha.
Real cool stuff. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
This is just bananas, though.
Yeah.
I was like, the Jeff Lemire stuff was exciting to me as well.
John Carpenter, though.
But John Carpenter saying, "Hey, I'm doing this Joker comic,"
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, what?"
Yeah.
And then the description of what it would be, I'm like, "This is bananas," and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really shocked to hear about this because I never thought in a million years.
And
It's not his first time dabbling in comics,
No,
but
it's
it
not.
is his first time dabbling in something of this nature.
High profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Russell is also doing a Riddler Year of the Villain, by the way. The Flintstones writer.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I just I'm not generally like the year like the
But-
Forever Evil, all those tie-ins.
But this
like,
the Riddler one is about Lex not going to the Riddler, and the Riddler's pissed about it.
Okay, yeah, he's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, and Mark Russell's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, John Carpenter the last decade hasn't really produced anything at all.
He's been doing a lot of music.
Okay,
Like
fair.
he
did
composed the
Halloween.
score for
True.
the most recent Halloween.
Yeah.
And he's also released 2 comic collections called Tales of Halloween, which are not tied to the film franchise. They're just think like
Okay.
Scary Stories, the book.
Yeah.
But they're comics.
I had no
and
idea.
he
Okay.
was making those. I
Oh,
have
right
one
on.
of the collections
That's
actually.
cool.
It's going to
Okay.
be a book club when we get to Halloween.
That's awesome that he's
Cool.
still writing. So yeah, his filming has taken a turn. Like he doesn't make movies anymore, but he's still writing, which is great because he always
Yeah.
writes and directs his own movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Well, he was an executive producer on the Halloween, so
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, like he used to make movies all the time. Now he doesn't make movies anymore.
He had a quote that just said, like, the Joker's awesome. I'm happy to be doing this.
Dude, that dude loves video games. Like he's just like a really cool dude. He just happens to be 80.
yeah.
He's just like us who just never grew up. Like his favorite games are Dead Space. Like he loves Dead Space. He's like, I want to make it.
Kevin Smith when he's 80. When Kevin Smith is 80.
Kevin Smith is more nerdy, but yes, the same type
Yeah.
of guy. Yeah.
I kind of want to be like Kevin Smith and John Carpenter when I'm
John
80.
Carpenter's a cool dude.
Yeah, I promised myself that if I have grandkids when Disneyland has their 100th anniversary, I'm taking them.
You think Carpenter is a cool name? A cool first name?
Yeah.
Okay. I legitimately always thought about it if I ever had a kid because I want to call him John.
Carpenter Eliopoulos.
Holy shit! Don't call your kid that.
I would. You know what? If you want to name your first kid after John Carpenter, just call him John Carpenter Eliopoulos.
Maybe.
That's kind of
No,
worse.
then it's going to be JC, Jesus Christ.
JCR?
JCR?
JC
JCE?
Eliopoulos?
I don't
That's
like
JC and his dad RJ. They're the Eliopoulos.
I'm never having kids.
Eliopoli.
Just dogs.
All right. The other one is
Carpenter is a great name for a dog.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a dog, there we go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Indiana. All right. So
Mhm.
the next thing to talk about is Fantastic Four Grand Design.
Yeah, baby.
This is a spiritual sequel to X-Men Grand Design, which was done by Ed Pisco.
Yep.
This is
Plisker, I
this
think.
will probably.
Yeah.
This will be done by Tom Scioli. So it's not by
Tom
the other
Scioli. Arrivederci.
They had this. He had this to say. Fantastic Four is like the manga. That's like the Magna Carta of Marvel. This
Magna.
founding document. So being allowed to get. Oh, it is Magna, isn't it?
Magna Carta.
Yeah. Well, this is hard to read.
Written in 1250.
My hands
Oh,
on it.
X-Men Grand Design. I had to look up what it was.
Yeah, dude, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's actually been sitting in my comicsology for a while now.
So being allowed to get my hands on it is thrilling. They've given a tremendous amount of creative freedom to just go for it.
So, real quick, X-Men Grand Design, it's kind of like the new Spider-Man life stories where it takes place in every decade. Every single X-Men event, every single X-Men issue matters. So this is a historical retelling of the X-Men's history that includes everything, and everything matters. So it's like a Origins, in a way, like an X-Men Origins book, but it's very modern, and the art's very much like Godzilla Half Century. What's his name? James
Stokoe.
It's very James Stokoe looking like. Very much like that. But it's 50 years of X-Men history, and every single thing matters. So like every little detail is like in every single panel. It's a lot, and it's really cool,
Yeah,
which
so-
allows a lot of creative freedom.
So expect a lot of the same thing for
Yeah.
this Fantastic Four Grand Design. What
Absolutely.
was the other comic news that you said that broke today? It broke today. You said something about it.
Oh, there's a David Bowie comic coming out.
Yes, that.
Yes.
By the
It's-
Allreds.
Yes, by the Allreds, and it's going to be autobiographical, but also have a inner story of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. So it's going to be like a story within a story, much like Watchmen has a story within a story. It's just cool. David Bowie's getting a comic. I love David Bowie.
Yeah, and
That's
a
all.
movie soon.
Oh,
Yeah, they're trying.
Did
to
they
cast
announce it?
Yeah,
I'm not
couple,
shocked.
couple months ago. Actually, immediately after Bohemian Rhapsody, they announced it.
I'm totally not shocked.
Yeah, so that's really all the comic book news.
Yeah, that's a lot of really great news this week.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
cool stuff.
like truly, yeah.
There's more I could read here, but like, look, it's just the stuff you know.
Yeah.
All right, so HBO Max was announced this week.
Oh boy.
So if you guys don't know what HBO Max is,
Neither do we.
It is Warner Media's streaming service. This is their prestige service that they are going to curate, much like Disney Plus. A lot of people say it's the Netflix for Warner Brothers, but that's not. This is a prestige streaming service, which means curated, which means stuff like CBS All Access, Disney Plus, DC Universe,
Yeah.
HBO Max. Those are all curated for specific content, whereas Netflix was more network based, was more like
Yeah.
we'll take anything.
Yeah,
same
because
with
that's
Hulu.
why. I mean, Netflix now they have there's like an own tag of Netflix originals.
Yeah.
However, you could still scroll down and be like, oh, I could watch Stardust. I
By
could
the
watch
way,
The
though-
Mummy. I could watch all these other films that I
It
don't.
was the
own.
first of its kind, really.
Yeah.
Back
By
then.
the way, though, this is going to neuter Netflix because HBO Max will take all their stuff off
Yeah.
of Netflix.
Yeah.
Like honestly, the second like for Netflix, Friends and The Office, like people make jokes all the time about millennials, but like those shows are on everyone's TVs all the time, just in the background.
I've been coming home for the past few nights.
Gilmore
and
Girls.
yeah, a lot of those type of shows that are
and
older. You know,
Fanny's rewatching it. She's been watching The Office. I've never got into The Office, but there it is.
Yeah.
It's on. And I'm like, okay, Parks and Rec was better.
And there's
but
but there's a reason why Netflix
Mhm.
like spend a lot of money for those shows. Is because that keeps people subscribed.
yeah,
yeah.
But
'Cause
now
it's
they're
like-
going to lose them no matter what.
Yeah, I see the memes on the internet all the time of people saying, "Oh, I have all this great stuff. Like I just finished watching Gretzko season 2. There's Hilda that I want to watch.
I need to watch it. I need to
There's
finish
all
Hilda.
these shows on Netflix I'm going to watch." And the joke is, "Oh, I'm just going to rewatch The Office for the 129th time."
comfort food, baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
But it's
and there's
because
nothing wrong.
they're
There's
easy-
nothing wrong
they're
with that.
easy to put on in the background.
Oh, yeah.
And just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's what those old sitcoms were really good at. We've kind of in the age of prestige television right now, where you can't really put anything on in the
you
background.
can't put Game of Thrones on and not pay attention.
No,
to
you
it.
can't. Or things like Stranger Things. There
Yeah.
are still some of that
Yeah.
television, but there's still it's a lot of paying
Like,
attention
I would
to.
remember going to like be on my laptop, just dicking around on the internet, and I would have South Park on in the
Yeah.
background, and it's like, yeah, it's just background noise. So now
Star Trek.
Yeah,
I put Deep Space. I went through 3 shows of Star Trek on the background. Like it's easy to do. I'm surprised that CBS All Access hasn't pulled Star Trek from Netflix, by the way. But anyway,
Just wait.
Why'd you put that in the air?
I'm sorry.
What happened now?
Oh no. All right, so Warner Media's new prestige streaming service is going to be released in spring 2020. We don't have a price point yet, nor a specific launch date, but it's just spring 2020.
I can tell you the price point. Expensive.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
It's going to include content from properties like DC, TNT, TBS, True TV, The CW, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, HBO, and more.
So I didn't hear you read that quote. That's the quote that we will have content from.
Yes.
So it is not replacing HBO now. It is taking stuff from HBO.
And that's
the problem.
That is something they have clarified later. Is that the only quote that we have so far of the. Let me see if I can find the quote. It's not hard, but I just want to get it right. Everything, quote, will not change.
Well, Verve. I mean, I haven't watched Verve for a while, but
no, it's not going anywhere. It's just going to be part of this new service.
Yeah.
Are they pulling all their Warner stuff from both Netflix and Hulu?
They don't have anything on Hulu anymore. Because
Yes, they do. Cartoon Network shows are on Hulu. That's Warner.
Oh, they'll pull them. AT&T doesn't have stock in Hulu anymore.
Okay.
They sold it to Disney.
I mean, sure.
It might just be a time thing. It might just leave like in a year or two. Or
Yeah,
something.
that's probably what's happening. They have no. They can't have stuff on Hulu anymore. I don't know what the time limit is, but no matter what, it was going to go anyway. So the stuff that's on Hulu will go. Because the only reason why anything was on Hulu is because they had stock in it, but now no longer.
Yeah, I got to be honest, guys. I don't know if I want this.
Yeah.
You're not giving me HBO Now. You're giving me stuff from HBO Now.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
And see, that's the
same.
problem with these prestige streaming services. When you neuter Netflix, and for better or worse, Hulu is now a prestige streaming service. It is now
Hulu competes with Netflix, absolutely. I watch almost more stuff on Hulu.
but it's Disney.
It's true. Yeah.
It is now owned by Disney.
Yeah, yeah.
And within 5 years, there won't be any Universal properties on it anymore, so it will just be Disney.
Yeah.
So Hulu was saved. I think Netflix is in serious trouble.
It is now.
Sorry. I only think Netflix is in trouble if they don't cave to the market and lower their price point. Because the thing is that they don't have to lose the subscribers by docking the price point down, because they don't have to spend the money to keep those big contracts like Friends anymore.
That's true.
They can take the price cut and just be smarter. Like, how many freaking things has Netflix funded originally that is bad?
Well, they're
A lot.
they're
Most.
bankrupt.
Right, there's
90%
they
of
funded too much stuff that's bad, but there are things that are great, like Stranger Things. All of those things, those can still be just less. Try to put out less.
And so you bring
that's
up
your original content.
you brought up Hulu. Hulu was really great because it had Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney, Fox. It had all those curated content, and it wasn't prestige content. You didn't need to. You had the options to watch whatever you wanted.
Yeah, that was the dream back in the day.
That was really great. HBO Max will be the exclusive streaming home for all of the CW shows, all the Cartoon Network shows. Probably not the HBO Now shows, but anything.
Oh,
yeah, no, yeah, that is the other thing.
so Arrow's only going to be on this
Yes.
service? That's
it will air on the CW.
No,
but then it will no longer stream on Netflix
or anywhere else.
because they're canceling the CW streaming service, but keeping CW Seed, which is a different one. But the CW streaming service is actually not doing well anyway, so it's not.
That I like.
But yeah,
I like
it will be the exclusive streaming home for the CW shows.
that sucks.
And yeah, it is not going to be $7.99. You know that. And if the rumors are true that it is going to be $15, that's
HBO Now's price point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's dead in the water. There's no way this is going to succeed.
And Disney's, to be fair, Disney screwed them over by lowering by putting their price
because
at
Disney's
so low.
smart, because they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew everyone was going to buy it at that price.
Nobody should be paying. Look, I think HBO Now is frankly too expensive.
It is.
I think Netflix is too expensive.
It is now. It used to be hella cheap.
Yeah.
But HBO Now, I at least give the benefit of not only do you get access to every show they've ever made ever, which no other streaming service does that.
Yeah.
No other streaming service.
Yeah.
That's like owned with a channel or something like that. That's directed to that. I'm hoping that's what Disney Plus eventually is.
I believe
They have
it.
everything they've ever made ever because they have such a huge library.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's the advantage of HBO Now is they have the entire back catalog of everything, and you have all the movies that go on HBO like whatever they have contracted to show on the air right now on HBO, that's on HBO now.
Also, HBO gets like
So that
movies.
could be old movies. That could be new movies.
Yeah. HBO gets like new releases faster than any other place too.
Yeah, so
So,
I think there is an advantage in having HBO now for $15 because
I think-
it's not restricted even to Warner.
Yeah.
You just get new movies.
Yeah.
And again, the quality is like HBO really is like almost higher than every other thing. So like,
Yeah.
I don't mind spending $50 for HBO because they have consistently for decades proven to me that they are worth it.
But curated streaming services like HBO Max, like Disney Plus, like CBS All Access, like DC Universe, the more that this becomes the norm, and Universal's is coming, like they've announced it, it's coming.
Yikes!
You hurt the consumer
Yeah.
when you give them
Yeah.
so much choice.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is. We talked about this a long time ago. That all we're doing is we are in the progress state of heading towards not channel packages anymore, but streaming service packages, because that's what it's going to become.
yeah.
We're on the road to that,
Which-
where it's going to be like, here you can get your Disney Plus and your HBO Max and your HBO Now and your name one more for me, Hulu, all lumped into one. Oh, but if you go up this like $5 next year, you also get Netflix
Crackle,
and
Epix.
CBS All Access and Verve.
Epic's actually doing really well.
Yeah.
Epix
Yeah.
doesn't need to make a lot to do okay.
Yeah.
So they'll probably offer a bundle of just like, hey, if you want HBO Max and you want DC Universe,
If that
you get
bundle's really good,
yeah.
I'd consider it. No, I'm saying like if
No,
the bundle
I
is,
can't. It had to be really good.
it would have to be like, if you give me DC Universe and HBO Now in a bundle for $20, I'll do it, because that's me dropping HBO Now and DC Universe separately and
Yeah.
putting them in with that bundle plus HBO Max. Then I do that.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to give us everything.
Because we do know that Disney Plus is bundling with Hulu when it launches.
Yeah.
Like you can get both if you wanted to for
Yeah.
a lower price than it would normally cost.
I just feel like this
Wonder what's
HBO
gonna-
Max needs to do a lot for me to really.
It does. It
It
has
has to
to
do a
pull its
lot.
weight.
Yeah.
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 And again, this might ruin DC Universe. Like we don't know what the hell's going to happen in a year with that service.
I wonder what they're going to do to their apps that if they're the way that this would really hurt the consumer is if they restrict and take away the apps that allow people who pay for the channels through cable and premium, which is how I have access to a lot of like Adult Swim and things like
Sure.
that. If they take those away, then you can't access them anymore that
Wait,
way.
is Arrow on the DC Universe app?
No. Because they have an exclusive Netflix contract.
So when that ends, that might go to DC
Well, that's
Universe.
that's what I mean. So yeah, when the Netflix deal ends, because it's going to end soon, or it
It'd
is.
be stupid if they didn't put
Like,
it onto DC Universe.
My fear, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
they say the exclusive home for the CW shows will be HBO Max.
That's what
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying if you're keeping DC Universe separately and still hoping that does well as a streaming service, you best be moving those CW shows over there, because those are DC Comics characters.
because from what this sounds like, and I could be wrong, but it sounds like, hey, if you want to watch Arrow and The Flash, you need HBO Max. You can't just have DC Universe, and they're DC Universe shows.
But for whatever reason, Doom Patrol is
See,
going
again,
to show
this-
up on HBO
this
Max.
No, this is that. But that's what what I'm saying is, if your game plan isn't to bring all these things under one umbrella and cut them and say here's the one thing, but to keep pieces into a larger thing,
Yeah.
and then also try to get people to still want to buy the other streaming services,
This is too
you have to
messy.
at least feed those other streaming services to make them still worth it. So if you want DC Universe to survive in the atmosphere where you're creating for this, you have to move those Netflix shows over, or it's dead.
Because you're basically, this is like dead on the water, it feels like.
If you can watch all the DC Universe exclusive shows on HBO Max and not have to pay for DC Universe, why would you?
Yeah.
yeah.
There are a bunch of exclusive stuff going to the streaming service. Doesn't look like at launch, but it will eventually. For example, Dune: The Sisterhood, which is going to be the Denis Villeneuve,
Which is the pain in the butt one that's going to make all of us
Dune
get it for a
spin-off.
month.
Yeah.
TV series. Tokyo Vice, it's a nonfiction story about Tokyo by Jake Adelstein. Tokyo Metropolitan Police, starring Ansel Elgort. Oh, interesting. The Flight Attendant, a 1-hour thriller from Greg Berlanti.
Okay.
Love Life, a 10-episode, half-hour romantic comedy anthology series starring Anna Kendrick. Station 11, a post-apocalyptic limited series directed by Atlanta's Hiro Murray.
Damn.
Made for Love, a tragicomic novel adaptation directed by S.J. Clarkson. And the Gremlins animated series, which you guys talked about last week.
Yeah. there are some cool things in there.
Yeah.
Are they enough to? That's the thing, is I need to know a price point. I need to know what I'm getting, because I'm not willing to get HBO Max on top of DC Universe and HBO Now. And let's say I did pay for one other service from them, which could be, there's the Boomerang subscription channel is $6, or I can't think of the others, but like Warner has other subdivisions of like private streaming services. Boomerang's one of them. Boomerang's one of them. And like if I'm already getting all those, you got to make it worth it for me to want this whole thing instead of those individual services. If I'm losing something in the transition, I'm not going to pay for all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
It's too many services, man.
I think Warner is the sloppiest of the streaming services at handling this, because they're spread so far and thin, and this doesn't seem like a good plan to get everybody on board with like one, because you could go big if you're offering all that content. You could go bigger in the price point.
I really think they want to. I really think they should have. I don't know if they wanted to, but I think they should have. It kind of sucks, but they should have merged everything into one.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that everything, if everything was under one umbrella, if you told me absolutely everything that's on HBO Now, absolutely everything that's on Cartoon Network's service, absolutely everything that's on Boomerang, which is every Hanna-Barbera cartoon throughout all the history,
DC
plus
Universe
everything pre-2005 Cartoon Network is on Boomerang.
I'll pay $20 for that, absolutely.
Right, you get Courage the Cowardly Dog and all those shows.
Plus what Ryan said, the DC Universe stuff with the comics.
Yes.
If the whole app was
you
there.
put all of that in HBO Max and you say 20, let's say 20, that becomes a lot more worth it to me.
Yeah.
This new programming, an entire back catalog of all of these different things, that becomes a little more reasonable, where I'm like, cool, I feel like I am getting a big package, because if I bought all those things separately, it'd be a lot more.
Yeah.
But that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
They're piecemealing from every service
And this
to
right
make a
now
weird
doesn't
new
seem like
service.
something that can compete.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, let's move on.
Moving on up.
Some miscellaneous news real quick. The Invisible Man has found his lead.
Oh?
No one. They're actually going to go with nobody. But just
Well,
gonna
I mean,
CGI a...
save on an actor.
They're going to CGI Air.
Yeah, they're going to CGI. No, they have cast Oliver Jackson Cohen from The Haunting of Hill House as the lead role.
Yeah.
Which one? Do we remember?
He's the brother who had the drug problems.
Oh, he's so good. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That dude's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad all those Haunting of Hill House people are getting roles, baby. They're all so good.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the Cuphead show is coming to
Oh.
Netflix.
Hell yes.
What?
I knew you guys would be excited about
This
this one.
Bananas.
Holy shit!
Honestly, the moment that Cuphead's like full animation of its game was
The
coming out,
aesthetic,
I'm like, a TV show or a second game is an inevitability, and I just don't know which one it will be.
I'll tell you what, there's an expansion that was supposed to come out this year, but they've put so much work into it, they're delaying it till next year, and it's gonna be almost another full game.
Yep.
For
is that
DLC.
the stuff though where you could play as Miss Chalice?
I think it's already
Yes.
out.
Really?
This is
Is that for the Xbox or the Switch? Because I just bought this game.
I don't know.
So this is going to be the same animation that the game is known
Of
for.
course it is.
No, I'm saying.
Well,
Imagine it being like
okay,
gross 3D.
The design of the poster looks a little different from what the game is, but it looks like it's still going to be in that same, like, the rubber arm type, like the Fleischer cartoons of the 1930s.
They had this to say, the current goal is to stay as far away from computer-assisted puppeteer animation as possible. The idea will still be that every frame is hand-drawn. It's going to be hand-drawn, but digitally tradigital, he said, was the quote.
So this will come out in 4 years.
This is why
this is coming out in a
Netflix.
while.
This is why Netflix is fine.
Yeah.
Stuff like this, because Cuphead, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about this.
Because Cuphead was an indie game that already got huge, like, a lot of eyes looking towards it because of its non.
It's one of a kind.
Yeah, because it's like completely hand drawn. It's a completely hand drawn video game, and now that I can say I beat Cuphead, I want more Cuphead, and that there's a show. I was like, this is great.
It's going to follow Cuphead and his sidekick Mughead.
Mugman.
Whatever.
Thank you, Mugman. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mugman.
this is in the beginning process, obviously.
Yeah,
so
baby.
there's no release date set. We're probably seeing it in about 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, it took.
I'm so happy.
I remember hearing about Cuphead at E3 years ago.
This game took like almost 4 years to make because it was like
Yeah.
a couple dudes making it.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot of money and support, but if they're still going to hand draw, that takes time.
Yes,
yeah,
it does.
and they still don't know what the plot is yet.
And you
so.
know what?
Yeah.
Let them work it out. They know what
Hey,
they're
I bet
doing.
you it involves a devil and Dice Man and all this cool stuff.
I wonder if it does.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
All
So
right.
yeah, but they do say the
Yeah,
game.
of course it does.
They do say the game told its story. The cartoon will tell its own story.
That's what I was hoping for because I didn't want a complete reenactment of the game.
I just can't imagine
if,
those
if the
characters
devil
not.
and King Dice are in it. That's
Yeah.
fine, but I don't want Cuphead and Mugman go kind of like going into our little topic later today.
Yeah.
It will certainly play into its it knows who the fan favorite characters are.
All right.
They will show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Oh my god! I just remembered more news. I'm so happy right now.
Fairness.
Paper Girls.
Yeah.
Paper Girls. A Brian K. Vaughan.
Don't forget
Cliff Chang.
Cliff Chang. Thank you. Lots
Yeah.
of articles have been
I
going
wasn't
out.
sure about.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure who his name was.
People seem to forget the artist, who was also the co-creator. It was basically his idea, and Brian K. Vaughan helped write it. Like,
Oh.
they're giving Brian K. Vaughan all the credit, and it's real sad.
Brian K.
Rat
Vaughan
bastards.
we know that he has a deal with Legendary to develop a bunch of his comic books into shows, while also writing a Gundam Wing or a Gundam movie.
Hell
You
yeah.
scared me there. I was like, is it really Gundam Wing or is it
Well,
just
it's
Gundam?
Gundam.
Okay.
It's Gundam. So Brian K. Vaughan's first Legendary adaptation will be Paper Girls, which is a super cool comic. I only read the first volume. I never read much further.
It's incredible. It's like, hey guys, you like Saga? It's another great book that's really long running and great.
But it's
Upcoming
also
book club for
it's
sure.
also way easier to adapt than Saga,
way easier.
because Saga was
Paper Girls is like basically like if all the Stranger Things cast were girls.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Paper Girls was Saga. Brian K. Vaughan made Saga to only be a comic book. Like
Yeah.
he does things in that comic book that he makes sure cannot be done in another medium.
Giant
Because-
Cyclops wieners.
Because he wants it to just be a comic book, but Paper Girls is a lot easier to create.
Yeah.
Into something. There's like weird time travel,
It's-
and there's
It's so good.
It's a cool comic.
Yeah.
It has a series order, so it's going straight to series.
Hell yeah.
For Amazon Prime. Stephanie Folsom, who worked on Toy Story 4, I don't know as what, but she's going to serve as showrunner.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
So that's cool. That's really
Oh
cool.
yeah, like that's like a good tone. Like any capacity she worked on Toy Story 4, like that's a good correlation.
Yeah. All right. So, I just pulled out this guy's mug.
I felt bad for you.
Yeah, I felt bad for me too.
I mean, I feel bad for you most specifically, but
Netflix has announced that Zack Snyder and Jay Oliva will be working on a Norse mythology anime series. And that's the most
I don't immediately hate it.
that's
I
the
need
most
more.
conflicted I've ever felt about
I
a
need
thing.
more information.
I mean, I'm not super anti.
I'm not him
anything.
anti
I
at
just
all.
know that like Norse mythology anime are two of the like most hype things you could give to Brandon right now, and you supplemented
Yeah.
one of the people who he's adamantly
Yeah.
not.
No,
super
I know.
into.
Not only that,
Now,
but Jay Oliva, I also don't like.
Yeah,
Now
he's
that-
the new animation, like the new 52 animation movies guy.
yeah. Now,
Justice League.
my one defense of this, I'll say, is that your favorite Zack Snyder film is my favorite Zack Snyder film.
It's Legend
which
of the
is
Guardians.
Legend of the Guardians, where
Yeah.
he did animation, and that looked incredible.
Yes, it
It
does.
So I'm not writing this off.
I'm not writing it off.
All right, that's fair. I won't write this off. But it's the powerhouse of Zack Snyder and Jay Oliva. Both creators I'm not happy with.
Yeah, I
Sure.
feel you. I
So
can
it's
understand.
it's like you got me hopeful with a Norse mythology anime series.
This is-
I'm in, but like
This is Netflix too, right?
it's
Yeah.
Netflix. as
See,
well.
I'm really hoping that this is not another anime series done in the same animation style as the Godzilla and the Knights of Sidonia,
Ooh.
but
Isn't
more
there-
like Castlevania, because Castlevania's animation is incredible.
yes.
But like it depends what division of Netflix this is coming from, because some of them go to that 3D animation.
Polygon-
style as Sidonia
Polygon
did.
Studios.
Isn't there a Greek mythology show coming out on
Yeah,
Netflix?
there
Yes,
is.
Gods and Monsters.
Gotcha. It's called Gods and Monsters?
Pretty
Yeah.
sure.
So there's a video game called Gods and Monsters coming out.
Yeah.
And there's a TV show called Gods and Monsters coming out. It's
I'm
about
gonna
the
check
same
that.
thing.
I'm pretty sure they're both called Gods and Monsters.
That's
I thought that
amazing.
was weird when they announced Gods and
Yeah,
Monsters.
that's
for
amazing. I
Ubisoft.
love it. Is there any more details?
Let me see. Zack Snyder's innovation in story and visual storytelling has pushed the industry forward
Yeah.
and established him as one of the most distinctive filmmakers of his generation.
I would say visual filmmakers.
Yeah, visual.
I will give him that because he is a visual.
The
a
Greek
great
anime
visual
series is called Gods and Heroes.
Gods
filmmaker. Heroes. Got it.
This is John Durdurian? Sure.
Dodorian?
Dodoria?
Derek Dondarrion.
Derek Dondarrion?
Head of anime programming. We are beyond excited to partner with him and his exceptional team to bring the iconic characters and stories of Norse mythology to life in this inimitable I don't know style.
Indomitable.
Inimitable.
Listen, I will agree. Like, for what to say what you will about Zack Snyder, the one time he did animation, he did it really well. So if we're going off of that alone, again, also the J. Olivia thing does not make me excited. That makes me less excited than the Zack Snyder thing.
Yeah, because J. Olivia is so boring.
Yeah, if it were like if you told me like there was someone else who like creative mind writing
If
wise,
like Genndy
that kind of
Tartakovsky
thing,
was involved, now
sure
we're talking.
was stepping in and Zack Snyder was handling like direction of animation, I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
but, like
right away upset.
J. Olivia Oliva has made 2 of the better animated DC films, but most of the worst.
Or more, definitely like the middling ones.
Yeah,
are
most
like,
of the middling ones, they're just kind of mad. They're just kind of boring.
None of them are ever bad. They're just like, okay, fine.
The Dark Knight Returns was the best.
That's
I think
good.
That 2-parter is real good.
That helps by having a great source material.
Yeah, Justice League War, I didn't like.
It's fine.
I enjoy
fine.
Justice
I
League
like
War
Green
for-
Lantern getting punched a lot.
Yeah, that's funny, especially when he's like Green Lantern's like Dark got this, and Darkseid just bitch slaps him.
It's great.
I will remain optimistic about this.
Yeah.
I want to, but
Truth be told, like the idea of these anime series that explore these mythologies is definitely interesting to me. I want them to be as willing to go for it as the Castlevania series is.
Here's the thing. Of all the people to go hard, Zack Snyder is the guy. If I'm just saying, like, for what you want mature.
I do.
He is a mature guy, right?
Yes,
and
but I also
you know what?
hope
He
that
does
it's not.
under- he
I hope
does
it's
it-
not gruesome for gruesome's sake.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
He does understand archetypes better than he does he understands characters, and most of the Norse mythology is archetypal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know what? There you go.
We'll see, baby.
I love that owl movie. So
It is a good album.
yeah, I was like,
The Legends of Gahul.
What was the other one about Maria Rambo? I forgot her name.
Lashana Lynch,
Lashana Lynch.
has been reported a lot of places, so it seems like it's very very close to true. To be appearing as the new 007 agent in the next James Bond.
Now, not James Bond.
No.
Which a lot of people are just, she's James Bond. She's a woman. How can she be James Bond?
Right.
Check yourself. Calm yourself.
The new 007 who has stepped in after James Bond has left.
Has retired,
Yes,
apparently.
and she's going to be bringing him back in for a mission.
There are only 900 numbers that can happen. Of course, they would replace one
Yeah.
if one of them retired.
Yeah.
Well, a few of
people
them
are just
died.
mad. People are just mad that it's a lady.
well, a few of them died. Like, doesn't 006 die in a movie or something?
Yeah, Sean Bean.
Goldeneye.
Yeah.
Sean Bean. No, he doesn't die in that movie.
Does he not?
Well, he dies at the end of the movie. But
I mean,
then
this,
he dies.
I think we had a conversation about this a long time ago where we said, like, don't make a female James Bond because that makes no sense. Make
Yes.
your own 007
Yes,
character, and this is that.
This
Wait.
is giving me kind of what I want.
Yeah.
But people are still mad.
Wait,
yeah,
wait,
just let her be her own character.
side note.
Yeah.
Sean Bean's in Goldeneye?
Yeah, he's the villain. in
Bro,
Goldeneye.
he's like the second main character.
I've
You
never
need to
seen
watch Goldeneye.
Yeah, I
That
know.
movie's a legitimately good, fun action movie.
I bet it
I like
is. I
Goldeneye
just
a
never
lot. It
been
was
able
supposed to be a Timothy
Are you-
Dalton
I'm sorry.
Bond movie.
Were you saying you haven't seen it at all?
No, I've only know Goldeneye because of the game,
Have
and
you-
even then, I've only played the
Hold-
multiplayer.
Hold on. Have you watched any of the Pierce Brosnan 007s?
Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies. That was the first one I watched.
Okay.
It's a pretty good one.
I like that one a lot.
Which is the one with the diamond face man.
Oh, that's
Diamonds Are Forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
that and is that the one with Halle Berry as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen that one.
Hey,
No,
fun
that's
f-
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day. He surfs
Diamonds
in
Are
that
Forever.
movie.
Where's the one?
Diamonds
with
Are Forever
okay,
is the Sean Connery film.
the
Yeah.
guy who plays Rumpelstiltskin in
Robert Carlyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one is he in?
He, I believe, is the villain from Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
That-
No, not Robert Carlyle. That's
It's Terrence Stamp. This guy I think is Terrence.
Terrence Stamp is in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Okay, Robert Carlyle is not in the James Bond movie then.
Yeah, he is.
Do you guys remember when James Bond got captured and then they did
I
a
will look it up
trade
then.
with a
Alright,
guy
there
who
you
had diamonds on his face and then this Asian guy
Hey.
turned into a white guy?
And so you want to hear something even worse? You want to hear something even worse?
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I hadn't thought about that movie since I last watched it, which was over a decade ago.
guys, remember when
and
it-
you just laid it out and I went, oh my God.
He got-
You want
yeah.
to hear something worse?
What?
So there was a game. There was a video game that was coming out just before Skyfall called 007 Legends.
Oh, yeah.
007 Legends went through all the bad James Bond films for some reason, and one of them was Die Another Day.
Gosh.
And the Halle Berry character is in it. It's a white woman.
Oh, that's racist.
It is just a white woman.
It was the one Pierce Brosnan movie we weren't thinking of. The World Is Not Enough.
The world is
That-
not.
Oh, that was not bad,
That's
right?
the one. That's the one.
No,
with
it's not.
Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Is that the one where he's got the bullet in his head?
Yes.
That's
yes.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Got it.
The only Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie I consider kind of bad is Die Another Day, and I was never really like. I just was like, I remember not really liking that one that
There
much.
is-
And then you just said that, and I went, oh,
There
there
was
were a lot
one
of
good
reasons not
scene
to.
in that movie.
Isn't it the opening?
No, it's the fencing scene. There's
Oh,
a scene where
yeah.
the Asian, now white guy,
Yes.
paraglides into a castle and then has a fencing match with James Bond in a castle.
Is that also
great.
the same movie where the helicopter has those chains, those like saw blades that cut the Aston Martin in half?
Is that also the same movie where Famke Janssen?
No, that's Goldeneye.
Guys,
That's
too,
GoldenEye.
There's too many James Bond movies.
There is. Anyways, I apologize to go on that tangent.
No, I love
it's
it.
fine. I'm kind of sad because I just remembered how like Pierce Brosnan's one of my favorites, and he went out on a bad note.
He was
did.
my favorite.
He was supposed to be. So, did you ever hear the story about how Casino Royale? How I found out about Casino Royale. He was actually contracted for 5 Bond films. You always contract them for 5 Bond films for some reason. Pierce Brosnan
years?
was contracted for 5, but he only got 4 because they decided to reboot without telling him.
Oops.
They never paid him out of his contract. They never told him. He found out when he was watching the Today Show where they announced Daniel Craig as the new James Bond.
Wait, that's me. What?
And he
That's
called.
terrible.
So he called his agent. He was pissed.
That's awful.
I bet he was.
Hey,
MGM was
Casino
in serious
Royale is
trouble.
Hey, if
really
you want to
good.
watch a better Pierce Brosnan went out like a champ movie, watch After the Sunset.
Hell yeah,
Oh yeah.
and the Matador.
And the
And the Matador.
Matador.
Yeah.
Oh, what other?
Both of those are fantastic post James Bond Pierce Brosnan.
Hey guys,
movies.
doesn't he
Yeah.
play a centaur in a movie?
Yes.
Percy Jackson.
Yeah, Percy Jackson, baby.
The first Percy Jackson,
Lord.
replaced by Nathan Fillion in the second one.
What?
No, Nathan Fillion played Hermes' father.
Oh my God, you're right.
Sean Bean is also in that movie.
No, oh my God,
Isn't he
you're right.
Zeus in that
No,
movie?
Pierce Brosnan was in the first Percy Jackson, and then Giles from Buffy was in the second.
I
Percy
didn't watch
Jackson.
the second, so
Oh
that's
my God, Giles got a movie role.
Giles from Buffy played the Pierce Brosnan role in the second Percy Jackson.
Whew, good for that guy.
Anyway, Lashana Lynch is apparently in
So
the 007.
going back to Shauna
Hey
Lynch,
guys, we really like James Bond.
who I just found out today that she was British
Yeah.
because I never knew that.
This is
And a
Maria
lot of
Rambeau
people-
from Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah, I found out a lot of people were British today, like Billy from Stranger Things.
Dacker Montgomery.
He's Australian.
That's
I
a
never
great
knew
name.
that.
That's a great name, Dacker Montgomery.
But
we don't make good actors.
but yeah, so
Yeah, right?
her having the title of 007, cool.
Yeah.
Sexist people, get the hell off Twitter. God
Yeah.
damn it.
I mean, this is basically like the Halle Bailey Ariel conversation and just put it right here. And
Oh,
it's the same
Lord.
2
thing
weeks in a
happening.
row, right?
Oh,
Um,
damn it.
I'll
But-
just cut it in. So that was a fun conversation.
Yeah. But basically, I'm for this. This was always the thing that we said. Like, please don't, because for a while there were articles saying like make the next James Bond female.
Same with Indiana Jones.
And we were like, don't
Yeah.
make the same character archetype and make her female. That doesn't translate. But do make a new 007 and let her be female, and that's fine.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is good. If this is true, this is good with me.
Yeah, this could be their attempt to try and spin off again, just like Jinx, and Die Another Day. That's her name. That's Halle Berry's name. And
I'd
Die
like to
Another Day.
believe that they're more competent and this will be better, but I also fell asleep during the last James Bond movie, so
Spectre was pretty boring.
Yeah, you and I saw that together.
We
and
did.
What
What a
I was really
IMAX.
tired, but I felt bad. I was like,
Guys, when
man.
those reviews started coming out, and we've talked about James Bond a lot, but we're going to talk about just a tiny bit more. When those reviews came out for Spectre and they were bad, I'm like, Skyfall is so freaking
Skyfall's
good.
amazing.
Skyfall is
Okay.
incredible. I can't believe it's like the same team and
Okay,
everything, and it's like,
so,
how is it bad?
Ryan,
And you got
Uh,
Christoph Waltz as a villain, and
yeah.
he's like the lamest.
It's so
villain.
boring.
Okay, so Ryan, don't hate me, but I have a tiny little confession to make.
What?
I have seen Skyfall,
Yeah?
but I was falling asleep during the third act.
You watch
Not
it-
because I was
watch it
bored,
again, dude.
because I was exhausted.
I get
had
it.
a
That's
long
not a confession.
Dude, seriously,
no, 'cause I-
Skyfall's like one of the
no,
best.
but then when I went and saw Spectre with this guy, I was so excited because Christoph Waltz, he's the Bond villain.
Yeah.
The
And not
bring
only
out
that,
Spectre.
not
I was
only
so
that,
excited.
Christoph Waltz plays the most well-known Bond villain,
Yeah.
Blofeld.
this is his
Yeah.
origin story, and it's like boring. God.
It's really screwed up.
I want to
Spectre.
watch.
Yeah.
But that
I wanna
opening
watch-
was real good.
It is.
That opening's real good.
I want to watch Skyfall again because I want to see Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see him in a good movie.
No, guys, you really just want to watch
Ben was
James
just like,
Bond
is it,
Home Alone.
Is it Benicio? Is it Harvey?
no,
I'm not sure.
no, I knew exactly who it was. I just couldn't.
Harbor Larry batteries.
Yeah, I just didn't. I just forgot how to pronounce his name for a hot second.
okay.
But
Not a
I want
problem.
to see Javier Bardem in a good movie.
That was a fun
Parts
James
5.
Bond chat. We should do a James
Heck
Bond
yeah.
episode.
How many movies? 20 something?
22,
Less than the
20
MCU
24.
now.
Wow.
24.
In a fifth of the time.
Oh wow.
No, 24. MCU has 23.
No.
Oh.
The MCU has 24 because we know Black Widow's coming.
Oh, that's fair.
Damn. Okay.
And I mean, you could make the same argument that Bond has 25, but we know we got 3 more. The MCU is about to beat it.
That's
Yeah.
insane. In
It's
a fifth
done
of the
next
time.
year.
All right, so some trailers.
Wait,
Oh.
isn't there Mortal Kombat news?
Oh, there was more.
It's just
Kombat
real
news.
quick. This is for me. So, one, we didn't talk about the casting. Joe Talsum. He's from The Raid. Did we talk about that last week?
No, I don't think we did.
No.
Did I just talk about you? Okay,
I think we talked
Joe
about it in
Talsum
person.
from the Raid movies. He was in one of the Fast and Furious movies. He's in The Night Comes for Us on Netflix, an original movie. He is an incredible Indonesian martial arts guy. The Raid movies are extreme. They've announced that the Mortal Kombat movie is rated R, and he's playing Sub-Zero, and they're going to have fatalities in it. Meaning,
Yes.
I have complete faith because I wasn't sure what type of action movie this was going to be. This is going to be The Raid, John Wick, real intense martial arts, and that makes me so excited. 'cause-
I mean, I'm.
oh man,
But also, you got to remember they've got the most boring main character in history.
I know, but the fact that you got this guy means like it's not going to be a like. It's not. What's like a boring action movie? Like, give me something like.
Anna.
I haven't seen something I've seen. I don't know, just like something traditional.
Mortal
like,
Kombat Annihilation?
You know what? You know why?
No.
You know what's bored? Why it's hard for you to figure it out? Because what makes Anna so frustrating is that it's hard to make a boring action movie.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, like
if you have
like,
action, people are engaged.
yeah. Anyway, bad movies, whatever. But like, just the creative team, like it's still like unsure, but like the acting or the actor that they got, like just immediately puts me in a happy mood. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, actually, now they brought Mortal Kombat. I was at
You
work.
think they bring back Christopher Lambert?
No,
Oh, damn.
No,
this
but
isn't a Mufasa situation where he's like legendary.
No, but Ryan, I was. They had the Late Show with Stephen Colbert on a rerun at work the other
Did
night.
he bring back Christopher Lambert?
No, he brought out Ronda Rousey because she was in Mortal Kombat 11, and no,
I got so mad right
but
away.
here's the thing. Here's the
forgot.
thing that I was like, wait, what? Because he brought up Ronda Rousey, and you know how the band normally plays something. The band freaking plays Guile's theme from freaking Street Fighter as she's walking out for a Mortal Kombat game.
Now I wonder if that's them they're joking on her.
I don't know if that's them joking or what it is, but
it would
I
have been a
thought-
joke if she had like called them out on it.
Yeah,
But
but she probably doesn't know.
I thought it was hilarious because
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Guile's theme from Street Fighter.
Not even the same game.
And I'm wearing a Guile shirt right now. You can't see
I
it. but
thought
love
I was
it.
going to ask if that's a
Sounds like
Logan shirt.
It's
or
Guile.
Okay.
His
Sounds like-
thing is on the back. I got it from Uniqlo.
Sounds like they're the real fake nerds.
And Stephen
The
Colbert.
Tonight Show.
No,
Yeah.
not the Tonight Show. The Late Show.
Oh, the Late Show.
Stephen Colbert. He knows his shit.
We should get Christopher Lambert on the
Apparently not about video games.
Well, it could be the band. I don't know.
show. All right.
That's all.
Trailers.
Yes, trailers.
Trailers?
Let's start with Lupin the First.
Lupin the Third, the First.
Oh,
The 1/3.
3/1.
This is Toho's CG animated film.
Yeah.
Is
Like
this Toho?
it's all in Japanese, so like we don't
There's
know.
only
Like,
2 production companies in Japan.
it's in Japanese, so like we don't know the story or anything. But like the animation is just what I want to talk about. It looks incredible.
Yes.
It looks truly like
Now-
I can't believe like Lupin the Third is getting this type of movie.
now normally CG animation does not work for me unless it's Mobile Suit Gundam, like with Gundam the Origin and Gundam
Are you talking
Double
like
90.
specifically with anime?
Yeah, with anime.
well, this is more like
But
like
this is
Tintin.
This is a definitely this is a
but-
different style because what
Let me finish my thought real
Okay.
quick, please. Now, because I normally for those shows like for Gundam, it's like this the CG goes well with the action of the stuff blowing up. Then we have stuff like Godzilla and Sidonia and Berserk. Unfortunately, the Netflix Berserk.
that's where I thought where you were going with
I
this,
know,
but,
but here's-
it's not the same. It's not even close to the same
It's not the
animation
same.
style.
But this
wait,
one is super stylized, and that's why I love it.
I understand the point he's making. Just generally speaking, when anime style is translated to CG, it doesn't usually go well.
Exactly.
When that's your form that you're going for, anime almost always looks better in 2D.
They use the
You can
cheap
say this,
3D.
You can say this about almost every anime that even is most of the time traditional 2D animation. I was watching the anime I was watching a while back, which was the Goblin Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Every character in there was rendered in 2D animation except for the main character, Goblin Slayer. Most of the time, he was 3D animation, so he stuck out like a sore thumb and looked weird, and that was to save on costs, and
Yeah.
it didn't look good. And so there's a stigma about when you're going CG with anime style that it's not going to translate.
But it's weird. It's weird to. I don't know why it's hard for me to see that comparison because this film is more of in style of like a Western 3D animated film that we have now, whereas like Godzilla was more
It's more like a Pixar almost.
was
Oh, yeah,
that Lupin the Third feels like a Tintin, like a Pixar, like
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
Whereas
Yes.
Godzilla and all the other times that we see that sort of 3D animation style
Yeah.
in animation is a completely different subset of animation.
I 100% agree with you. My point was merely explaining Ben's thing, which is that when he heard it's a CG Lupin movie, he immediately thought bad.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because anime
Yeah.
going to CG almost never turns out good.
Yeah, you're right.
Then-
This does look good.
Then we see the trailer, and it's still the same character designs of the original anime, just fleshed out and done with, like what Ryan said, they have a budget. It's not just hastily, let's throw like this three same. All the characters look like they're supposed to do.
This did remind me a lot of Tintin, by the way.
That's
This-
a
Yeah,
good thing.
It does look
looks
like
like
Tintin.
a
It looks great.
It looks like a super budget of like a made today Lupin the Third video game, and you're seeing all
Yeah.
the cutscenes,
Yeah.
but it's a movie, and I'm like, that's incredible.
Real quick for the people at home who don't know Lupin III, it's about a bunch of thieves and a bunch of cops and all their twisty-turvy lives, and it's like the greatest
It's
band in like
fantastic.
Carmen San Diego kind of
You
stuff.
have Lupin, who's the mastermind. You have the guy with the sword, whose name I forget.
He's a cool guy.
But he can.
You have
cut
the marksman, and I
Yep.
just read he can shoot anything in 0.3 seconds.
Yep.
It's like pew 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 pew.
Yep.
Hell
That's
yeah.
him. Oh, I watched a few episodes of the anime as a kid. I called myself a big Lupin the Third fan, and then my parents said, "Don't watch it anymore." I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this anime.
It is,
so.
but like even you can admit, like, man, this looks
It looks
dope.
good.
Right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
if you ever wanted to like just take a jump in, pick a movie, and I would recommend the Studio Ghibli Lupin the Third film, The Castle of Cagliostro.
That's the best.
and just that is top tier Lupin the Third. Just and you can watch that. It's self-contained.
Standalone, baby.
You can
Hold
just
up.
watch that.
Hold up. Did you say Studio Ghibli?
Oh yeah,
made a
Miyazaki.
Your
Miyazaki made a
shit-
Lupin the Third film.
I need to watch this shit
Ca-
right now.
Castle of Cagliostro is Miyazaki doing his own.
That's like the most famous
Lupin the
thing,
Third
yeah.
take. It's why it's one of the best.
I need to watch that shit. Do you have it?
I do not. Have
We
it
will
here,
now.
but I will.
All right. So then the other trailer that came out this week was Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. This is the second trailer. What do we all think about this one?
I'm conflicted a bit.
Yes,
I-
I am as well.
I'm kind of into it.
I still really like the aesthetic of the film.
I love
Yes,
the look of it is
The look of it is A+. It
Yeah.
sucks that whoever that new guy is playing Prince Philip, and that we lost Brenton Thwaites.
he's too busy doing Titans.
Too busy doing Titans. That's a bummer. But I'm remaining optimistic in the sense that I'm still happy that they're pursuing a completely original new story.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is nothing that's ever existed before. And I'm all for that. I'm
Mhm.
all about it. I really liked Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. I really like Elle Fanning as the princess. And
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer being in this is awesome.
I really like Angelina Jolie as Maleficent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to be real optimistic
Yeah.
about it. If the story is exactly what it looks like in this trailer, I'm not going to like it.
So yeah.
If the story is, if we're being lied to in the marketing, then I'm on board.
I want to think.
So-
I want to say we're getting lied to.
I think we are to an extent. Obviously, Michelle Pfeiffer is pushing Angelina Jolie into a villain role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Michelle Pfeiffer is the villain of the movie.
or tricking Aurora to see her that
yeah.
way.
But then there's also more of Angelina Jolie's Maleficent's race, which I did not
That was
expect.
a crazy extra thing.
I did not expect that at
As
all.
someone who loves crazy fantasy, weird sci-fi stuff, like for some, like I should love that. But when I saw it, it didn't connect with me. I'm like, oh, so she's not unique at all.
Here's why it connected with me. In the first one, there's clearly a species that she is a part of.
Okay.
Because there's not. She
She's
was
a-
born that way.
She's a fairy. That's
Yeah.
what she is.
I thought she was just like a deviant.
so
basically.
like a Thanos, like
Yeah.
the Eternals. Yeah.
Like yeah.
That makes sense. But also it was so out of left field that I was kind of like, okay, I have no idea what's happening, and
Yeah.
that being taken by surprise by Maleficent sequel was really pleasing
That's a
to
good
me.
point. Yeah. Like, oh, I didn't expect this. Should be a good thing. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, what kind of got me was like the medieval warfare stuff. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes, that stuff I'm into.
I
I
love.
love that
yeah.
outfit that Angelina Jolie's in.
So do I. But I love how Maleficent is now being. She's kind of like the overprotective mother because it's 5 years after the first one.
She's Hopper.
And I love how Michelle Pfeiffer's like. I kind of got like Michelle Pfeiffer's character is a little bit of a racist because she's like, okay, you've done well defying your race of caring for this girl. Now it's my turn. You can go away now. And Maleficent's like, bitch, no.
She's my daughter.
Yeah.
I need to watch the first Maleficent again. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's been a
I
while,
could
yeah.
go for a rewatch, but I like this because I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer is going to be the true villain in the movie.
And
But-
I love seeing the two of them together. Like,
I mean,
that's
just,
so cool.
Just seeing Angelina Jolie as Maleficent again. When I first saw the movie the first time, I was like, no, that's Maleficent. It's like straight out of the animated film. I'm into it, and I'm digging this. I actually really am digging this. I love how she still has her wings the whole trailer. So I'm like, yeah. Keep that.
Yes.
Continue on with what
I-
you did with the first film.
I will pretty much only be unhappy about this if it is cookie cutter of like she's just bad now and she's on the wrong side and doesn't
I
trust.
really don't think they're going to go that direction.
I want to believe that too.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be stupid and think that it can't.
Here's what I imagine. I think the movie will end with everyone thinking she is this mistress of evil, but she's not. And that's like how we set the world up for like the future, basically, like almost like the end of the Dark Knight, where everyone thinks Batman's this killer.
I don't think that that's where we have to end it.
No?
Because Maleficent already undid it has to end with her being perceived as the bad
Yeah,
guy.
I guess you're right.
It
But do you
already
think-
undid it because she was saying like those stories aren't true. Those
Yeah.
stories were already told; they're proven not true. So what I do think is that the Mistress of Evil is really going to be a moniker you think is Maleficent, but it's going to be Michelle Pfeiffer. I think that Maleficent's race is going to want to fight the humans, and they're going to like. There's going to be a lot of like tricking Maleficent and playing with her emotions
Yeah.
and putting her
Like
at
she's
the wrong
neutral in
side.
the situation,
Like,
basically.
Yes.
I think her fairy, the type of fairy that she is, like what was the actor's name who showed up?
Chiwetel Ejiofor?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Thank you.
Chewy.
I cannot say his name for the
That's
life
fine.
of me. He flies
I only
in.
can say it because of
Mordo?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Okay, but I think he's gonna try and take Maleficent away. I think Michelle Miss Maleficent's gonna be like, no, I don't want to leave, and it's gonna be this whole thing of her trying to get away from Aurora, but she doesn't want to. That's what I think what the movie's mostly gonna be.
So,
and there's gonna be some trickery involved.
This trailer told me that this movie is Disney's version of Troy, where a princess gets taken to another place, and then the kingdom has to go invade to get that princess back.
Yeah.
But instead of Brad Pitt and a bunch of horses, we have giant tree monsters.
We have
And
his
that's the part-
ex-wife, and
Yeah, and that's the stuff I'm. Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
stuff I'm into.
They are divorced.
yeah,
I
That's the
forgot
stuff
about that.
I'm into. Yeah, this again, like, I'm more on board than I'm not. Like, again, I'm just
same.
I'm more interested than like, wow, this is something like actually original in the Disney universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm mostly excited about.
Yeah,
And
Movies like Maleficent have me way more engaged than a remake of The Lion King or Aladdin. Or
And as good as
Dumbo.
Aladdin is, like, it's the same movie.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, the more I think about it, like, I was kind of harsh on Mulan last week or 2 weeks ago, but, like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that is what I want. That is doing its own thing, not
It's-
tied exactly
It's
to the
going
original.
more to the original legend. There's no
Yeah.
Li Shang. There's no Mushu.
Yeah. So I'm totally,
Yeah. By the way, that was a trailer. Actually, I did have some thoughts to add to the Mulan thing. Like,
Yeah.
I thought you guys. I'm glad you said that because I did think you were being pretty harsh.
yeah,
on
and the more
Mulan.
afterwards, I was like, man, I should have said more, because I was like, man, I actually really like the trailer.
Because exactly what I said, like Mulan, Pete's Dragon, Maleficent, like those are the types of movies I want Disney to be making. I
Yeah.
don't want them to be making
Yeah.
one-for-one remakes.
Yeah. I am just gonna miss all the songs, but like I get it.
I'm
I
sorry,
get it.
Brandon. I was pointing at you. I wasn't trying to say anything, but that's like pretty much.
Oh, I know what you were doing.
Okay.
I really think "Girl Worth Fighting For" can still be in there because that's a marching song.
Yeah.
It probably won't be, but it could
Girl,
be.
what fighting for?
All right.
Okay.
Any more we want to touch on before we get into our main topic?
No, nice, juicy bread and butter burger.
All right, let's do it. All right, then time now for our main topic. Ryan, why don't you introduce us to this one since this
Oh
was
my
your
gosh.
idea?
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Oleopoulos. We live in the world of adaptations. You go to the movies every week, and there's a new Marvel movie, there's a new comic book, a movie based on a book, based off a video game, based on a television
We're
show.
going to the movies to pick up a comic book?
No, you
The
no.
dream. Am I right?
Hey man, that's good marketing if they were to do it. But the world of adaptations, like so many things, Spider-Man, Marvel,
Arguably
Batman,
the Disney remakes we were just talking
the
about.
Disney remakes, all of it. Like basically everything's an adaptation these days. There's not a lot of original stuff, and if there is, nobody watches it. Please go support original things. So
And
I
stop
think
bitching about how.
Hashtag support original things.
hashtag
and also-
that, and then you
And
go
also
to-
hashtag stop bitching about things always being adaptations and go support original shit.
also
Did you
hashtag
get-
save Swamp Thing.
Did you guys see the thing I posted on Twitter where it was just like it was just another rant of like I'm so tired of all these remakes, like we can't come up with anything better because it makes me so sad. And so I was like, you know what? No, don't blame a company's desire
Yeah.
for more profits
Yeah,
on
yeah.
creative bankruptcy. There are 3 original films out right now. Go see those instead of bitching about
Yeah.
the second Lion King film in 20 years.
I don't know if
25 years.
I don't know
25
if it was like the same post related, but like some guy's like, oh, like it's year 2050. I'm walking into my 80th Marvel movie. I'm slowly dying inside, and everyone's like, hey, you don't have to go see those movies.
Yeah.
Don't be
Yeah.
a dick. You don't need to be a dick
Hey, they
because
keep making money, so
hey, yeah.
Also-
Yesterday is out. That's original.
Yeah.
Ready or Not, original. Ad Astra is a high
Midsummer,
budget.
yeah.
Is a high budget sci-fi film coming out.
I'm
Yeah,
so
Midsommar-
sad. Dude,
Midsommar,
Matt Astra's
that-
gonna bomb. I'm so sad.
Ryan, Midsommar. That's original, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stop
It's the
bitch.
wrong topic.
Yeah, I know, but
I think
still.
you'll find that Yesterday is in fact based on a song by the Beatles
I'll
called
kick your
Yes-
ass.
I mean, technically, he's not.
Hey, that's a beautiful song. Okay, that's a great song.
But yeah, like I didn't really have like I don't think an overall like vision of what this topic is, but like there are so many adaptations
Uh-huh.
in the world. Like what do we think makes a good one, a bad one? Like what? Because we each have different personal takes on like what we want from adaptation. So
Right.
I think it's just a nice way to talk about all of it.
I like that.
Yeah,
I enjoy this
because I know like let's say Aladdin, right? We just saw Aladdin.
Uh-huh.
That's an adaptation of that movie, almost 100%, right? Except of course the character's a little different, but like the script's the same basically.
Let's be clear. An adaptation is basically taking a property from one medium and bringing it to the next.
Yes.
So yes, the live action remakes are in fact adaptations because they are taking them from an animated medium into a live action medium.
except
Right.
for Lion King.
Except for the Lion King, which
Lion King is
From
animated.
That is
animated into a different type of animation.
It's
That
a
is
really
the-
good looking animation.
That is the biggest asterisk we can think of.
Yo
for
man,
that.
it's animated.
We'll talk about it next week.
We will.
I guess.
Oh my god, we will.
Oh
you're
boy,
right.
yeah, we will. But so I want to say good adaptations. There are 2 films I could think of that are good adaptations in my point of view.
Mhm.
And they are Watchmen and Ready Player One for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Watchmen, I say, is because when I did read the book before I saw the film, and when I did see the film, I thought it was great because it was beat for beat the main points of Watchmen. and yet they changed it in a way that still made sense to the film and could still make sense to the comic.
Holy shit. You want to go there first? All right, let's do this.
Hell yeah, I'm the guy with the Watchmen tattoo. Let's talk about this. I like the movie a lot.
So do I.
I think Zack Snyder, hit or miss visually. We can't complain there. He's a great visual filmmaker.
I'm going to talk about this through the lens of what the topic is. What makes it a good and bad adaptation?
Yes.
I think Watchmen is actually a bad adaptation.
Okay.
I'm not going to call it a bad movie. I'm going to say it's a bad adaptation.
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is because the creator of the adaptation doesn't understand the source material.
That is correct.
Starting at the very beginning of an adaptation, you need to understand the material that you are adapting. What makes a good adaptation is understanding, and I do not think that Zack Snyder understood the what he was adapting.
Okay.
I agree.
I
100%
also
agree
with that.
Yeah.
I think that Watchmen, when we were speaking last week a lot about Spider-Man Far From Home, like film language and narrative and everything, Watchmen suffers from that too. The film language doesn't actually construe to the plot and the story and the narrative and the themes what the book is doing, even though the visual art of what you're seeing is exactly the same.
Just copying.
It's missing everything that it was trying to say.
Just by copying what it looks like does not give you what it feels like.
Yes.
And in some circumstances, it does work. I will say everything, involving Dr. Manhattan, is almost flawless. From what I read in that comic to how I see Dr. Manhattan, like that is, especially the stuff like I'm on Mars and he's like doing stuff by himself. That is a perfect adaptation. The stuff with Silk Spectre. That is a bad adaptation.
And Zack Snyder,
she is bad in that movie.
Zack Snyder is a person who is not good at this because he likes to take something and he's like, if I make that exact same thing in movie, it work. And that's what he did. Like, look at Batman v Superman, the one scene where Batman jumps off the roof and goes down to the other floor, and the lightning bolt hits, so it's the exact same cover from Dark Knight.
Yeah.
For a moment.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's real good because I did the thing.
It looks like the thing.
That's his logic about adaptation.
You lose the power of the thing. By recreating the thing, you lose the power of the thing. For Watchmen, for example, when a lot of people say this is a good thing, I actually don't agree with this. The ending for the movie Watchmen was changed to be Dr. Manhattan was the thing. And that's a really good example of Zack Snyder didn't understand why Alan Moore had it be.
I think it's a good ending.
That ending.
So I think it would be a good ending if the movie prior to it had built to it better. Because I don't think as an idea that the ending is bad.
I agree.
But I do think that the film narrative, because it hangs so close to the comic, doesn't give me the story that makes that ending work as well as what the comic did.
A really good example of what you're saying, Grace Point.
Sure, yeah.
Grace Point
Broadchurch
is the adaptation of Broadchurch from Britain to America. Broadchurch had the solve the mystery. Grace Point is the exact same mystery with a different ending.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go the same. But it goes the exact same way, and then it's like, nope, it's this. And so Watchmen does the same thing, where Watchmen's like, we're following the exact same beats, but it's a different ending because.
Just real quick, conversely to that, Being Human is a British show, and when they brought it here to the States, they took the same concept, which is a ghost, a werewolf, and a vampire all live in the same place, but they completely changed what the driving story of their arcs were and took them into an entirely different direction, because in the British one, by the time you got to season 4, you've time jumped like 40 or 50 years into the future with whole new characters, and everyone knows about monsters, and it's a mess. And Being Human season 5, you are just 5 years down the road, and these characters are trying to live their lives.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, is a better adaptation of that idea.
I think Watchmen, honestly, the cast saves that movie more than Zack Snyder does because Patrick Wilson and Jeffrey Dean Morgan and
Malin Ackerman.
Jackie Earle Haley.
She's absolutely the weakest link in that entire movie. I
mean,
think.
she is.
But she's not
just the first person I could think of.
Yeah. But basically, that entire cast, almost except for her, is really, really good casting.
Billy Crudup,
thank you, as Dr. Manhattan. Yes. Because it is Alan Moore's words and it's those actors. It is for me a good adaptation because everything there is like, man, it's all good.
You know what?
It's all pretty good.
More, this reminds me of the Killing Joke animated film.
That's taking liberties, baby.
The Killing Joke animated film is another instance where if you're adapting something, I don't think personally, going back to what we're talking about, like I don't think one-for-one dialogue is a good idea.
It doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work, and I think especially when you're looking at the Killing Joke movie, that's where you see the problems with doing something like that. Real quick, Ben, when you because once you get over the really shitty Barbara Gordon plot that they threw in there,
The comic starts.
The comic starts.
Yeah.
But then it becomes Alan Moore's dialogue.
And it doesn't sound the same.
It sounds stiff. It sounds rigid. And Kevin Conroy sounds like he's phoning in a performance, which we know that Kevin Conroy doesn't do.
Yeah.
So I think that Killing Joke suffers from that, from being a bad adaptation because of that, among many reasons.
I would say Killing Joke suffers because they added two stuff
Sex
that was
gargoyle.
Yeah, they
Jesus Christ.
They added two stuff that wasn't in the original thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well, no, you know what? Actually, adding
Not always bad.
I don't
Well,
think that's always bad. Because
okay.
take for example Superman versus the Elite. Superman versus the Elite
yeah,
is an
you're right.
adaptation of a
you're
single
right.
issue.
You're absolutely right. Mhm.
And they add a ton of stuff, and it actually helps that movie.
Okay, may I rephrase? It is an example of adding stuff gone wrong.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest problem with adaptations is right off the bat, if you are going to note for note recreate the same thing just in a different medium, you're already failing.
Lion King
Yeah.
coming out next week.
Psycho.
Like Lion King's a great example in the sense that
Psycho,
what
yeah.
we've talked about off air, and I'll just bring it up here because I'm not going to talk about it next week, is that if Lion King had decided to start with something like the opening of the film being a flashback to a young Mufasa and a young Scar, and a story about the two of them and what drove them apart as brothers and how Scar got his scar, as there has been told in children's books before. If they had done something like that, you're already telling me this is going to tell you more of a story in a different way and a different perspective than what the original film did, and you are getting something different from watching this than watching the original again. What we're hearing so far sounds like I'm just basically watching the same movie again, in which case the original is
there. It's good.
blemishless in my opinion, and so why recreate it if you're not bringing anything new to the table? There's no point to translate it over to another medium,
Which is
and I
why
feel that way about any adaptation. I'm harping on the Lion King because it's current, but any
And it's so close
adaptation, if
to
you're
you.
going if you're going to just take the exact same thing and put it over, why are you even bothering?
That's why I'm so excited for Watchmen the show.
Yeah.
Because it is giving me the tone that Watchmen movie did not give me, which the comic has. Despair, a grim situation, an America that cannot get any better. And we bring up Rorschach, right? Like, in the movie, Rorschach's your hero, right? In the comic, Rorschach is a psychopath.
Yeah, you're not supposed to like Rorschach.
It's very much like, I never get to talk about this, V for Vendetta. I love the movie V for Vendetta.
So do I.
Not a lot of people read that comic. V is a terrorist.
Yeah.
V is a bad person.
Here's the thing. I read the book.
I
I
love
read
that
the book
movie, but
years
it's
after I
so
saw
not
the
the book.
I saw the film first, then I read the book years afterwards when I realized, oh shit, there's
Hey
a
guys,
comic.
most Alan Moore
holy
adaptations
shit.
are not the
holy
same.
shit. V for Vendetta is a good example of I think the movie's really good, but
It's different.
It tries to be different. It doesn't try to do a one-for-one adaptation.
it 100% decided I am something different from the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just
It
uses
made
it.
the
Yeah.
choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Psycho, like you take one, shot for shot remake. Psycho, the remake of Psycho with Vince Vaughn, they use the exact same shots,
Gus Van
settings,
Zant's Psycho.
everything. Like that is the same movie with different
Mhm.
actors, and it doesn't work.
There's a butthole in that movie.
and you gotta wonder like, well, if it's the same movie, it should work. But just because you're doing the same thing over again doesn't mean it's
Exactly,
the same result.
There is a problem with going into it with the idea of let's recapture the exact same lightning in the same bottle.
It's like a good cover.
It's not
Covers are different. It's just like songs. It's exactly the
Yes.
thing. A good cover of song is different.
Yeah, Disturbed, Sound of Silence.
Yes.
That is an example.
Johnny Cash hurt.
Yeah.
Oh
we
my
were
God.
talking. We were
Oh my
talking
God,
about the
Disturbed
Beatles. The
sounds
Beatles
so-
has an entire album of celebrity singers coming
Jim
on.
Carrey.
Jim Carrey, Robin Williams coming on and doing Beatles songs and doing it in a different
Sean
way.
Connery's In My Life is amazing.
Sean Connery's In My Life is fantastic, and it's an entirely different version of that song.
Arguably, William Shatner and Ben Folds.
Ben Folds, hell yeah.
Cover of Common People is better than the original.
Arguably.
So we're Nerdy Podcast. Let's talk
Yeah.
about real quick Marvel and DC in terms of adapting into film, because I think
So
Sorry,
for
go
the
ahead,
most
go
part,
ahead.
in a lot of ways, I feel like Marvel and DC have, for the most part, been able to shirk away from direct adaptation problems of what we're talking about up to this point, because whenever they're adapting something, they're usually not pulling from a single concise storyline that is considered pristine.
they have decades of stuff to choose from.
Yes, I think the closest that any of them have particularly gotten is when they said Civil War, which is pulling specifically from that title. Everybody's thinking about that thing.
And
When it's
before that
coming.
was Age of Ultron, though.
Before
And that's
that
not
was Age of
even. That's
Ultron.
not even that book.
Before Civil War, I would say the closest they got to adapting one-to-one was Extremis.
No. I'm talking purely in title, like what people think they're going to the movie to get. Age
Oh,
of Ultron,
yeah.
I wasn't thinking about, but
No, Civil War,
just
you're right.
because Civil War,
That is a
people
Civil
talk about
War.
Civil War about a lot. but because you get the title, you think I'm going. It's like if they announced the next Batman movie is The Killing Joke.
Sure.
There's a certain expectation of what story you're getting because it's coming from a very particular comic.
Yeah.
As the core of it, and for some people, like Civil War is fine. I'm not here to harp on Civil War for anything in particular, especially not as being an adaptation of that storyline. But when you say things like that, this is one of the reasons why I say I hope there's never a Marvel film called Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that title. I don't think it's a good idea to do it. Everybody's going to go in there with certain expectations. You are going to disappoint somebody.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars: The Force Awakens was originally going to be called Shadow of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
That
They were just going to steal that title?
they were going to steal that title, and
That's
I mean,
rude.
They can.
No, I know.
It's
It's not nice.
They were originally going to do Shadow of the Empire, and so that became a whole thing where they knew that if they called it Shadow of the Empire, they knew that people would expect that book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was that also the video game title as well?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Shadow of the Empire
So-
does actually thematically make sense. For what the
It
movie
does,
is.
but
Yes.
that's just so
No,
rude
but I
to that
get-
entire canon.
It is. So, but DC and Marvel are kind of lucky in most cases because they can get away from that because they rarely ever go for I'm going to say a title of this thing.
I wasn't specifically talking about titles. Talking about character.
No.
Because
I know.
Marvel gets
That's-
characters right, and DC.
That was how I wanted
is
to start
taking a
this
while.
conversation.
Okay,
I knew
gotcha.
what you were going for, but that's how I wanted to start this. Is that I think when they get the reason why they get away so far away from getting a lot of adaptation flack is because none of them have specifically tried to be an adaptation. Although secretly, in some ways, Batman v Superman was Dark Knight, and
so secret.
There's barely any fighting
exactly,
between them.
and you see how that failed because everybody went knowing that's exactly what that movie was supposed to be, and it fails on every level because in half of the movie is a direct adaptation of it, and half of it is not. And it's not paying service to any fans on either side of the table.
What I think Marvel actually does really interestingly, you see with Spider-Man, and we talked about what we want for the X-Men. You see how they've built a franchise now. They've built a separate living, breathing universe to the comics. At this point, if they adapt something, they need to adapt it within the confines of their franchise.
Yeah, of the Marvel universe.
Of the Marvel universe. So when they bring
Mysterio.
when they bring in Spider-Man, was what I want to say. When they bring in Spider-Man, it was a Peter Parker who grew up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Yeah.
And how would that change Peter Parker?
He's like the first, second generation hero.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe films have had the advantage of they are very willing to bend with what they know works, even if it goes against comics. Thor is an excellent example of this, where they found what worked for Chris Hemsworth, and it wasn't about keeping him beholden to the Thor classic
like
of the comic,
Shakespearean.
but allow him to work
Yeah.
in the way that works best in the movies.
There was an article that, you know what, air quotes, article that Slash Film put out that said,
yeah.
this is why Marvel screwed up. And it was an entire listicle about why they screwed up Thor, because we could never get the version of War of the Realms that was just aired in comics.
We can
And you're
absolutely still get that.
And you're like, wait a second. First of all, if they ever did War of the Realms, they would probably adapt it to fit their franchise.
100%.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Age of
Wow.
Ultron, the comic, is about Ultron going back in time and rewriting history so he rules the universe. That is not what Age of Ultron, the
No.
Avengers movie, is about.
Civil War, the book, is completely different from Civil War, the film.
To be fair, it is still Iron Man versus Captain America.
But
that is core to both stories.
But the way the quote-unquote Civil War starts is vastly different.
it's still a crisis where innocent people are murdered.
Yeah.
I think Civil War is a pretty close adaptation to
For-
the comic in the beginning.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I think that they but you know, we talked about
the Bucky
it in our
stuff like
thing.
it throws a wrench in like the Civil War actual story, but
Yes,
like
that's what I was getting
it
at.
is still at its core Tony versus Iron Man.
But I still
Captain America. Sorry.
I still enjoy the
No,
film
Tony
more than I
versus
do the
Iron
book. No, I
yeah,
still
and
think
that's fine.
as because I read the book before, and even when I knew going into the movie, I knew what things were going to be
they
different.
don't have half those characters.
Exactly. But I got out of the movie. I said I would still feel that the movie was still a very faithful adaptation of the basic Civil War storyline, where it was Tony versus Cap and one of them losing in the end.
Batman Begins is a really good adaptation
Oh,
of Batman
yeah.
Year One
Yes.
without
Yeah.
saying I'm Batman Year One.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is because they didn't say Batman Year One. They said Batman Begins. And so everyone's like, wow, that's a lot of great, like, they pulled all the great stuff from Year One, but they weren't going to the movie expecting to see the Year One comic people liked put on screen.
The Dark Knight is a really good adaptation of The Long Halloween.
Yes.
Oh,
But it's not a
but
one-to-one.
it's not the long.
But they didn't, and can you imagine,
Like a short 2
take
months.
those two movies, change the titles to those titles of those comics, fans wouldn't have liked it as much. because it's not the story, and that's the problem. Is like if they're DC and Marvel, they have to be careful if they are putting names of titles of comics that people like on there. People are going to go there expecting something in particular. I think that was actually part of the reason why they decided to go with Infinity War, not Infinity Gauntlet.
I also don't think it sounds as cool.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound as cool, but it's smart.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about earlier about the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
How it wasn't a good adaptation of that book. There are two.
Hey guys,
Batman-
Killing Joke's terrible.
Yeah, but there are two that
such a
actually. I mean,
shame.
because we talked about the Dark Knight Rises or not Rises, Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. The
Which-
two-parter.
the two-parter,
Yeah.
which I would say is beat for beat, shot for shot of the book.
It's pretty close, yeah.
but it's very well done.
The thing is, here's the problem.
But
Go ahead, sorry.
also,
Yeah.
the other one I was going to bring up was Batman Year One, because they did do an animated version of that
They
with
did.
Bryan Cranston and Benjamin McKenzie.
Yeah.
That is also very well done.
Bryan Cranston's really good in that.
He is great in that.
Katie Sackhoff's in that.
Who?
Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, sweet.
Bionic Woman.
Is she Selena Kyle in that one?
No, she's
she's
the other cop.
Oh, she's the one that. Okay, I know who you're talking about.
I want to talk about Dark
Sarah.
Knight Returns real quick because most of the DC animated movies are like 75 minutes long.
The
Right? They're not
the
full-length
early
movies.
ones. The early ones used to do this really well. The pre Justice League Flashpoint paradox
Yeah.
pretty well. Justice League Doom is a really good adaptation of Tower of Babel.
Yeah,
But it's not
Yeah.
that same. It's
But
not
it's not
that
Tower of
same.
What I
Babel.
mean is like all
comic.
these adaptations, they are not full-length movies. They're not 2 hours long, right? So you give something like The Dark Knight Returns, instead of giving it 75 minutes, you give it 2 75-minute movies. So you actually
Yeah.
tell the whole story.
Yeah.
So the adaptation that you want to tell beat for beat works instead of truncating it into one episode.
Right. Even Year One. I mean, Year One's a short book. That's
Yeah.
Frank Miller's short book. But still, I want to say whereas where Year One and Dark Knight Returns work so well is because I want to say it's like partially director, partially the voice actors know what they want to do, and probably because those books, like with Dark Knight Returns, there's like, hey, Warner Bros. Gave them 2 75-minute films, and they're like, do as much as you want with this. We're giving you the time. And Year
I
One,
watch those back to back.
it's a shorter book. It's a shorter book, but that could still fit 75 minutes, no problem. Whereas since The Killing Joke, that's already a very short book. That's like what 20 minutes to read.
They
if that.
added,
They
added
had
nonsense.
to add more stuff
Yeah.
because they can't put out a 15-minute short for that. There's no way in hell.
The Dark Knight Returns is actually probably
The best?
it's no it's an exception. It's an exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Because it is a beat for beat adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns.
But it's so,
And it's got RoboCop as
but it-
Batman.
it's
but
very
it-
well
it-
done.
but it works. But beat for beat adaptations don't always.
Not
work.
always. No.
So look at Psycho, what we talked about earlier, and even stuff that they changed. Like I mentioned, Ready Player One earlier. That's completely different from the book.
100%.
But I think
For the better.
Exactly
I
for the
agree.
better. Because I remember an argument after you read the book, Brandon, that you did not want to watch Parzival play the Lich in a game of Joust
I thought
for
would
the
have been
first key.
hilarious.
Because I'm thinking that.
Like if they were if they were actually jousting, that would have been cool. But they were
Yeah.
just playing the game
Yeah, they're
joust.
just, they're
Like,
just
what
playing.
are you doing?
They're just playing the video
I
game
think,
Joust.
I think
Rookie
some of it.
move.
I think some of it is in the way you portray it. Like if it had been a like he enters, there's the Lich, and he rises up, and it's like battle, and it smash cuts to them with the arcade game, and
That's
they're playing
exactly
against each
what
other.
I imagined.
That's humorous. If you know how to cut it right, it can
Yeah.
be humorous.
Yeah.
But it's having a vision for it and everything. I think that Ready Player One is one of those where I think like there are things in that movie that were much better, and there are things in that book that were much better, and neither of them are fantastic in either way. But I agree overall that Ready Player One, the film, because it allowed itself to be different, improved upon.
I think it really
book.
helps having
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg. Because
Well,
I don't know
that too.
how many filmmakers could do that.
And also,
for a movie.
I want to say for Ready Player One, already that the novel, if you read it with your minds, like the way I saw a visual.
Read it with your minds?
Shut up! I had
Mind's eye.
I had my mind's eye. The way I imagined it was already very visually spectacular. And then when we saw the movie, we got a visual spectacle.
Yeah.
But what works more in a visual spectacle form in a film? To a human and a lich playing an arcade game, or a batshit crazy drive through New York City
That's
with
pretty cool.
with a DeLorean, the bike from Akira,
King
and King
Kong.
Kong just wrecking your shit.
Pretty
And you
dope.
got to go backwards.
Yeah,
That was a cool sequence, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm of two minds about that. So my thing is that Ready Player One isn't a book I feel this strongly about, but I feel like if you are trying to play an angle of like this is kind of an homage to video game history more than anything else, going for the spectacle when you go to the film of the driving thing loses some of the messaging of what that book wanted to be about.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that book executed that message that well to begin with.
No.
But if that is what you're going for, the movie as an adaptation
traded,
already lost the meaning of what the book was trying to
It
do.
traded character for spectacle, but in this case,
I think that was probably
I
better.
didn't really
I think that was
mind.
for the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But that is the symptom of a problem that bothers me in other films that do the same thing. Going back to the Marvel DC thing that you were talking about, there's definitely like the films across the board. There are definitely times where they'll take something to the character and it's totally new and it works. Jason Momoa doing Aquaman or Chris Hemsworth's adaptation of Thor. I don't feel like I'm losing core fundamentals of who those characters are or anything.
Right.
Spider-Man and Spider-Man Far From Home is one where I'm starting to feel like I'm losing core fundamentals of who Peter Parker is. Part of this is a class thing. Peter Parker has always been a poor character, not somebody who has access to rich resources, and this is starting to be a little bit of a problem.
And real quick, to be fair, for the last 10 years of Spider-Man, he's been wealthy, and it's something you don't like, which is completely understandable. It's a part of it's an aspect of Spider-Man a lot of people don't like. They like when he's poor and trying.
But it was a deliberate in the comics. It was a deliberate story choice to be like, for my arc, I'm going to make things go right for Peter.
Yes,
but Peter Parker, but a core fun, but it works for a story arc.
No, I agree.
But when you're doing it in Far From Home, you're actually changing a fundamental part of the character that you end up losing. It's kind of like with Batman. If Batman kills someone, that's a fundamental part of that character that you've just lost.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a 1-to-1, I think.
I just don't think it's. I think in this case, Marvel isn't going as extreme as Batman is.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something that's becoming more and more clear to me that I'm concerned. You were bringing it up because I was dwelling on it this week.
No,
you
yeah,
were bringing
yeah.
up when we were doing Far From Home that I've had these blank movies of Spider-Man for the past few years. Like I don't need to see some of those things all over again. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, but I also need to not lose the things that are core to that character just because we saw them before.
Yeah, of course.
Ben Parker never being acknowledged, that's a core aspect of Peter Parker. And if you're just not going to do it because it's been done before, even to just reference it, that's a problem. That's losing something that's core to the character. That's like if we just never talked about the fact that Bruce's parents were killed. Like we don't have to show it in a flashback or anything, but if it's just literally an omitted part
that
of
is
discussion
so
in his
essential to
history.
Batman. Thomas Wayne is now one of the main characters in the Batman book.
But that's what I'm saying. It's
I
so
will-
essential to Peter
Yeah.
Parker.
I will say-
it's bananas to not even talk about it.
Talking about adaptations, if you want to adapt something, if you want to adapt a Batman book into a movie, pro tip, don't start with the death of the Waynes. Tired of it. We're good. We know it.
Hey, we
no,
know.
but and I get it. We've seen it so many times, but to have a film where nobody ever even nobody
mentions it.
ever they act basically like that didn't happen.
Alfred, for example, Alfred needs to be like, your parents would be disappointed, or your parents blah blah blah.
That would be insane if there was just no acknowledgement of the previous circumstances of his parents at all. That's just too much a part of who his character is. If it's not even a present idea that at one point he had parents and they were shot and that's made him who he is.
All right, let's talk. I want to talk about TV shows.
Okay.
Batman the Animated Series.
the best ever.
One of the best adaptations of all time.
Sure.
And the reason is not because they adapt so many comic books, which they very rarely did, but because they got the core character of who Batman was so well that when they made a feature-length film, they were able to take every liberty they could with his origin, with a new character and everything, and it still worked as a Batman thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's
if
true.
you get the core fundamentals correct, you can do whatever you want with the character.
It's also so good that it created characters and it gave character origin stories better than the comics did, and then the comics adapted that.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, so many things. The
love Mr.
Phantasm.
Freeze.
Like,
No,
yeah,
no, I
Mr.
agree.
Freeze sucked before that.
Like, but that's the thing.
Mr. Freeze.
If you understand really good example, if you want to adapt something, the core character needs to be there. Around him, you can do whatever you want.
Not just the core character, but the core narrative themes of who that character is. I'm not saying from a specific comic arc, but what is happening for Peter Parker. His core theme of narrative arc is it's really hard to be Spider-Man and be a normal person.
Yes.
This is part of the reason why I have a problem with the secret identity thing being revealed. Part of the point of Peter Parker's whole existence is the struggle of trying to be a person and also be Spider-Man at the same time, not being out in the open with both.
Ben, what were you going to say about Mr. Freeze?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that before the before the animated show, Mr. Freeze was just to do with the freeze gun. He was lame. Then they gave him that great origin story that has been
Now he's my favorite Batman villain.
Yeah, no, I
Except
think
when
he's
the one thing Scott Snyder did that I don't like is change Mr. Freeze's origin.
I'll tell you what, I really like what he did. I wish that wasn't his origin.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
no, but Mr. Freeze became one of my favorite villains in the animated show because he had purpose. He was wrong. He was done wrong, and he figured out a way to.
Remember when he came back with spider legs? real cool.
I forget.
Wait, is this Darth Maul now we're talking
Oh,
about?
Batman, The New Adventures of Batman.
I don't
Yeah, they
remember
did.
that.
So in The New Adventures of Batman, Mr. Freeze comes back, and he was only in like 2 episodes of the original series. So The New Adventures of Batman, Mr. Freeze comes back, attacks Alfred and Tim, and you find out that his disease had progressed so far that he had to amputate his entire body,
Jeez.
and he could only live inside of his head, and he was using an animatronic body.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
That's some Sub-Zero stuff.
Funny thing
Yeah.
is, they kind of took that away when they brought him back at Batman Beyond.
And
'cause they had
in Batman Beyond, they cloned his body again.
Oh.
They cloned his
I forgot
body
that
in
part.
order to transfer his brain so that they could cure his disease
I
and he could
forgot-
live a normal
Oh,
life.
I
that
forgot
is
that part.
Awesome.
But it didn't work.
But either way,
Hey guys, Mr. Freeze's arc of the animated series was really good.
but Mr. Freeze, they took a dude with a freeze gun and they gave him actual purpose, a meaning, and even in Batman Robin, bad movie, but they still kept the main course. Is like, this is how Mr. Freeze became Mr. Freeze. He has to constantly stay cold, but he's doing it to save his wife.
Yeah.
Batman Beyond is also a really good topic to touch on with this thing because it is an adaptation of Batman. But because it is a different character, it's Terry McGinnis. They're able to
Old man Batman.
they're able to take a lot of liberties that you wouldn't be able to. And so, we talk about it a lot with James Bond. If you want to introduce a female James Bond, a female Indiana Jones, it's better to make a new character
Yes.
than try to change a fundamental part of what the character is.
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales is a really good example of this. Miles Morales is Spider-Man, but he's a different Spider-Man than
Hell
Peter
yeah.
Parker.
Mhm.
You're able to do different things when you create a fundamentally different character.
Yes, I agree, and I would always prefer that you do that than try to tell me that the character is something. This goes back to the Lashana Lynch thing we were talking about in 007 earlier. Don't try to make her James Bond, make her her own thing.
Jane Bond.
Yeah, don't do that. Going back to what you started off the episode with, the Avatar: The Last Airbender M. Night Shyamalan film.
Holy yikes. Big
I knew-
yikes.
Talk about
I knew we were gonna
not
bring that up.
understanding. Well, you started it.
Yeah.
Talk about not understanding your characters
Absolutely.
or your narrative story
Or
what
anything
that
about
show was
the
supposed to be
show.
about at all.
Anything.
That's,
Appa looks super
that's that
cute.
movie.
Appa? Is that his name? Appa?
Appa,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep,
Appa,
yep.
yeah.
He's real cute. He
Yeah,
looks,
Guy
he looks
Boba.
real good.
Momo looks adorable.
yeah,
but
yeah.
There was
CGI's
this,
fine.
No, there is this great scene. Okay, it's not a great scene, but there's this part that could have been great, and I'm kind of stealing from Nostalgia Critic a little bit here. Where in the film, in the Last Airbender film, it's the scene where Aang is at the northern air temple, and he sees all the statues of his past lives. This could have been a great scene of him coming to terms with the fact that he has to live up to this grand legacy and make up for all the years for the 100
Yeah, he
years
ran
he's been
away
gone.
like a
Yeah,
coward.
he ran away like a coward. But it could have been a great scene of him like accepting his responsibility as Avatar. Instead, it just turns into something really dumb and stupid that I don't remember.
You know what's a really good example of The Last Airbender? Sorry, Sparks, real quick. I talked to Pi, my friend Pi, who's been on the show, about this a lot when The Last Airbender came out. A fundamental part of Aang's character is missing in The Last Airbender. And it's very prevalent from frame 1 of when we see him. When he opens his eyes in the ice, he doesn't immediately get excited and goes and say, "Want to go penguin sledding?"
Mhm.
He's dour. He's upset. He's
Yeah.
like, "What happened?" He's a man with weight on his
He's not a
shoulders.
kid.
He's not a kid.
Yeah, he's a 10-year-old kid. The first
so
scene of
sad.
Last Air of the show Avatar, which is an amazing show. Please watch it or rewatch it. He pops up. He's like, "I'm Aang. You want to go penguin sledding?" He doesn't care. He's a 10-year-old kid who he knew he ran
and
away
he doesn't
from.
know that 100 years has
Yeah,
passed.
he doesn't know about
I just
the
don't
war.
understand
He doesn't
how
care. Or
you watch even one episode of that show, because M. Night had to done some research and
He
see
did.
the joy and the
His
fun.
kids watch it.
Yeah, like the whimsy that the show has, and it does have dark moments. Of course, it does. You have to have the dark with the light, but it is
The
so.
last 3 episodes are really dark.
It is so like animated, and
Yeah.
I don't just mean animated. I mean like in terms of life. Like it's
Yeah.
so it has so much breath, and there's nothing in that movie.
So we talked about. I think that really covers like everybody knows Last Airbender is not a good adaptation.
Yeah.
We talked about like how with comics characters, really what's important with comics characters is don't do a specific comic story unless you are going to commit hard to it, because that's what fans are going to be expecting, or keep to the cores of the characters. Make them still be the characters they are in the comics. The big problem that everybody had with Zack Snyder's films is that wasn't Superman. That wasn't Wonder Woman from the comics. And sure enough, they weren't. They were these versions he was creating, hoping to lead to an injustice.
Yeah.
That was not Lex Luthor. Like, these were not the characters that people knew from the comics. It was not a good adaptation of those characters because they lost the core parts of who they were.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when a book is adapted to a movie. Let's go to Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Jurassic Park as a book and a film are very different reads. Yet, both are excellent in their own way. And I think the reason that works is because Jurassic Park, when it was adapted from a book to a film, never lost sight of the core point of the book is for the wonder of dinosaurs to immediately be crushed with the horror of dinosaurs being brought to the modern world.
Yes.
And that is entirely what the book does. That's entirely what the film does. And it doesn't lose sight of that, even though the characters drastically change in translation.
Yeah. But we're talking about characters keeping their thing, like their core tenets. Do the characters in the movie?
No, Hammond's a 100%.
Oh, yeah, Hammond's a dick in the book,
different
right?
character.
But the idea of Alan growing to accept his role as a father, not in the book.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good stuff.
That was something that Spielberg added.
Yeah, and the stuff in the book is good too. They are essentially translated into being different characters.
That's cool.
But the way that they're translated, in some ways, what it is that it works. Now, this is, coming in with an adaptation, and Michael Crichton had say in some of this about what was brought to the screen and everything. But this is someone coming in with a vision of, like, I want to do the same story, but I want to do it in a different way. And it's a choice of doing it different. And you don't have to keep the core concepts of those characters. If you're keeping the main, because this is a specific story, not an overarching comic series, that's why I say with comic characters, they have to be the core characters.
Yeah.
Because that's what you keep coming back for. You're not adapting a specific storyline. But if you're adapting a specific storyline, like Jurassic Park is, you can change your characters as long as you're not losing the main arc and theme and why you did the book. If you're not losing the story and why you made it, then you can adapt it and change it to fit. And they found that in the performances of the actors, they made Hammond better by having him be a more approachable and sweet man.
And that's honestly because the length of a book and the length of a movie are drastically so different.
Yeah.
And it's drastically different. It's not like a comic book could be the same length or whatever, but like it's so different that you have to condense a lot in order to make a book into a movie. So realizing what the core of that book is going to be, if you don't lose sight of that, I think you can still make a really good movie.
Exactly.
Ben.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read the book, but I've seen the bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
How's Aragon in terms of adapting? Is it just a bad movie and a good adaptation?
Oh, Lord.
Or is it a bad adaptation?
No, it's a bad adaptation.
Okay, because I don't know anything about the book.
So there are some...
Because it's a bad movie.
There are some really... I want. It's been a long time since I've seen Aragon.
I'm just curious because I know that's one a lot of people...
I would say Aragon because, Saphira in the... I get where they had to cut corners. Like, in the book, Saphira grows up gradually, whereas in the film, she turns into a fully adult dragon, like, on the spot. Sorry.
Marc, you're also read Aragon, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wanted you to correct me on this if I'm wrong, Ben. I think that the book also suffers from a symptom that I've seen a lot of books, usually ones that don't continue on with their sequels when they're adapted to films, but sometimes ones that do.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have the foreknowledge of where their books are going, they
set
start
up.
to layer in things that were not part of that story to
Setting
begin
up,
with,
yeah.
and interrupt the flow of the actual narrative arc that the book had before in order to tease up the possibility of what they know comes in
It's
the
like
future.
setting up its
and
universe.
Aragon did that as well.
Yeah.
For better or worse, Harry Potter doesn't do that.
For better, arguably.
No,
Yeah.
I would say for better.
In
I would say-
a couple of ways, but when you get to the last book, when you get to the last movie, and a bunch of characters pop in that you haven't seen in 7 movies.
I mean, yes,
I like
that's,
that. I actually like that, though.
Yep.
That's fair, but I mean, like, Harry Potter never sacrificed itself to try to tell you about things before they would happen in a way that the book didn't.
Like Aragon...
It never, like, teased up Sirius Black in Chamber of Secrets.
True.
Like Aragon, even the marketing for Aragon and even the marketing for Last Airbender, they both had sequels in mind. The marketing for Aragon said the first chapter in the Inheritance trilogy.
Oh, dude.
Which funny thing of which
Last
here's the thing.
Airbender said the first part of the trilogy.
Yeah. But with Aragon, that didn't even happen in the books. I got Brasinger, which was the 3rd book, and I thought this is the last book. I get to the end, I'm like, this isn't over. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
I was told this was a trilogy the whole time, and then Christopher Paolini straight up says, like, yeah.
Didn't he write that book, the first one, when he was like 13?
Yeah.
What a baller.
I know, right?
Cool guy.
But he came out with Inheritance years later.
Right.
And it's like, now, Inheritance is an end to that story.
Yeah.
It's a straight-up end, which, okay, great.
Last question on Aragon. If that had to be remade, would you want it to be another movie series? You want it to be a TV series?
It has to be a TV series.
TV series?
If
Okay.
you're
Live action animated. What would you want? Just you.
I probably want live action.
Okay.
Look at Game of Thrones.
I think adapting books. I think if you're going to adapt a book, especially in the age of prestige television, television is the way to go.
Yeah.
I don't think that's always the case. If you have the vision behind it to do something like Jurassic Park, which is, I know how I have to change this to fit the new medium. You have to have a craftsman behind it who knows how to do
Because look at
film
Lord of the Rings
and how to adapt the
those could
story.
be huge TV shows,
Right,
but they managed.
Lord of the Rings is a really good good example of a really good adaptation
Right.
Oh, yeah.
of 3 books.
And
Like
completely
those,
cutting
because-
stuff out.
Because
Those
it's,
are excellent.
because it's easy to say, like, oh yeah, it should be prestige television, but honestly, some of the books, when they're supposed to be adapted, they need the budget of films.
Yeah.
They can't get away with the budget of
I
television.
think
Yeah.
Harry Potter
And-
would work really well as a TV
And
series.
if you were going to do that, then you just have to know how to, like, Harry Potter's a great example. Some of those movies are better than others. Why? Because some of them are better adaptations of like what the book was trying to do than others. Some stray really far in order to do their own. Look, these are teenagers being in love hijinks.
You're talking about 6.
I am talking about 6 because I think 6 is the worst because it drops
What's
so much
the
of
girl's
what's
name? Cho
Cho Chang.
Cho
Cho
Chang.
She's in 5.
Oh,
4 and 5. They drop so much of what's important from the Half-Blood Prince in order to pay lip service to these things that they think are more entertaining for the films.
Yeah.
And sometimes changes like that can work, but they lost the through line of what was important about the story the book was telling.
That's why I think the David Yates later films, the Half-Blood Prince, Deathly Hallows 1 and 2, are the weaker of the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, that's 100% why I'd agree with you on that, because you can tell, like, you had Alfonso Cuarón and Christopher Columbus, and I forget the guy who did the Goblet of Fire,
Most
but
people
those
did.
guys were people
Aw.
who knew how to approach a film and to craft it from a book to the screen, making the changes necessary in order to make the time constraint work, but still keep what was essential to the story and to the characters.
Yes.
And the later Harry Potter films are worse at that.
I would
Yes, I agree.
I would say that Sorcerer's Stone is, I think, to me, a near perfect adaptation.
Sorcerer's Stone is my favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite too. Not because it takes all the major stuff from the books, it fleshes them out. And for me, when I was watching Sorcerer's Stone for the first time, I'm like, I'm watching the film. I mean, yeah, it took out Peeves, which sucked, but you know what? I was okay with that. I didn't like Peeves.
You don't need Peeves for the narrative of the story.
Hey guys,
You
do you know
don't.
what the guy who directed Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire? You know what the next movie he directed after that?
What?
Prince of Persia.
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Mike Newell.
Wow.
He's not.
Wow.
He's a guy.
I'm not saying it's his fault.
No, yeah. He also did a romance movie like Life in the Times of Cholera or something.
Oh, that's actually a really good movie.
yeah, yeah. So you know, there you go.
So no, it's and that's the thing is like it's not always on one person.
Yeah.
Teams make these films,
Yeah.
and it's
Hundreds
not
of
always on
people
one
make
person
these
how
movies.
these adaptations
I remember
go wrong.
watching the film Goblet of Fire, and I was really looking forward to the scene in the Triwizard Tournament, the maze, where Harry confronts the Sphinx.
Oh yeah.
It's not vital to...
You know what? Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is a really good adaptation of that book.
It is.
It strips away all of the fat, and I think Half-Blood Prince also not Half-Blood Prince.
This is why I
Order of the
specifically
Phoenix.
said it. Yeah,
I think Order of the Phoenix and Goblet of Fire are really good adaptations of their books because they strip away all the fat and just focus
Yeah.
on what the narrative of the movie is.
because
Yeah.
you had to, because the books were getting longer, but the movies weren't going to.
yeah.
Yes, I think that Harry Potter's an excellent example, progressing over time, especially of how adaptation can be done well and how adaptation can be done less well.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as garbage as some of the other examples we've talked about, but it certainly happens. I definitely want to talk about one that I'm like, I can't not bring it up. Hey, here's Dragon Ball Evolution.
Jesus.
Why is Dragon Ball Evolution a terrible adaptation? Oh, let's count the ways. No, but
All
seriously,
of
no, but
them.
seriously, like
It's a
going into Dragon Ball Evolution, this really speaks to the whole thing of like. Arguably, Dragon Ball Evolution did the thing that I wanted, which is they knew they were going to be telling the story in a different way. They made a choice. They were just bad choices. But they did at least make a choice that, like, we are telling the story in a different way. We're not going to go about it exactly the same. It's not going to be the same thing you saw. That being said, they lost everything that was absolutely core to those characters, right down to the fact that Piccolo should be green. Because we know James Marsters was on set saying, make me greener.
And with Dragon Ball Evolution also has a larger problem of just anime adaptation, Western anime adaptation.
For sure, but
have
a
harder time.
But we're talking
working.
adaptations in anime and video games and books. This all
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah,
it doesn't help that it's just also just a really bad movie.
With Dragon Ball Evolution, you have, and I guess for the example, like none of these that we're talking about are like hard and fast rules. Like you could do a film like Dragon Ball Evolution where you take a lot of liberties and you would still you could come up with a good movie.
It's having a vision behind it. This Dragon Ball Evolution was a cash grab movie, 100%.
Right.
I don't know what anime movie or what big movie came up before to get Dragon Ball launched, because every time that happens, like, oh, let's say Ghost in the Shell was successful or whatever, let's do something else.
Sure.
Something like that.
It wasn't that. Dragon Ball,
There had to have been a big movie.
at the time that Dragon Ball Evolution came out, Dragon Ball Z had just ended in America, hadn't it?
Yes.
Dragon Ball was at a fever pitch.
Yeah.
The likes of which we were only now seeing again.
No. Dragon Ball GT had already started at that point. Dragon Ball Z had been over for a while.
Oh, no, you read GT was
GT
started.
had ended. Dragon Ball was kind of dead.
Yeah, Dragon.
Yeah.
No, it came out.
The
like,
only thing that was
out of
really
nowhere.
popular in America, like really popular at the time, was games.
Budokais.
Yes.
Well, I
like
still
10 years
I
ago.
still think that the Dragon Ball Evolution movie came out of the popularity of the Dragon Ball anime.
It came out of a hopeful, perceived popularity of the Dragon Ball franchise that didn't exist at the fever pitch it does now.
Now it's
Sure.
insane. Yeah,
I mean, what we're seeing now is
we're living
incredible.
a post-Broly world. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Now we got movies like
We're living in a world where every month
Broly's
there's
just
articles
But
great.
like,
when the next
you
movie's
could have,
coming out.
if you could have done the same movie adaptation, Dragon Ball Evolution, as long as you hadn't lost sight of what was important about those characters and the story that you were telling. If this is a story between Goku and Piccolo, you have to make Piccolo the king demon he's supposed to be, and you have to keep Goku on the side of good. You can't create this narrative plot. If you're trying to bring in fans of this franchise and you're trying to stay true to that story, you can't create this narrative plot where Goku was once the slave of Piccolo, and that's something that like haunts him about the murder of his grandpa Gohan.
When I was trying to think of bad action movies, thank you. That's what I was looking for. Dragon Ball Evolution is a bad action movie. Mortal Kombat is not going to be like that.
Dragon Ball Evolution also has Piccolo kill Gohan,
Yeah,
Grandpa Gohan,
Uh-huh.
not Goku.
right.
That really changes the story.
It does. Like the whole thing. It's just misguided. It's misguided in every way, and it doesn't know how to translate its characters. And any amount that it did was only because the actors were familiar with the characters to begin with.
You know what it does? Dragon Ball Evolution ends up doing what you talked about with Aragon. Like, it peppers in where you could go later.
Yeah.
Like, it has the foresight knowledge to know that Goku and Piccolo are aliens, but in Dragon Ball, they weren't.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Evolution's greatest sin is thinking that a love story is important in a Dragon Ball movie.
Oh, with Chi-Chi?
Goku doesn't even know he's married half the time. Give me a
That's
break.
its greatest sin. It spends about 35 minutes of that movie on Goku and Chi-Chi's romance.
awful.
And that is not important to
It's
that movie at
awful.
all. And that was
Boo.
entirely a perceived, like, this is what Western audiences as teenagers want to see.
No.
And it was wrong.
Dragon Ball Evolution should have focused more on the mysticism of Dragon Ball.
100%, but they didn't.
But they focused more on the sci-fi aspects of Dragon Ball
This
Z.
is a world that has, like, capsule technology and dinosaurs. We should be going nuts. The dog is a president. Anyway.
President Dog.
Yeah.
I was the king.
So I do want to circle around to this one because
the president is the king.
it's probably one of my staunchest, like, most difficult to wrap my head around. Like, I'm not approaching this right. It's one that really irks me in a way that is hard for me to get over because I like the movie anyway. But Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Real quick, one last thing on Dragon Ball before we dive into that. Stephen Chow was originally tapped to direct Dragon
I know
Ball.
it. I know
He's the
it.
guy who did Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer, all these incredible Japanese
That would have been a good movie.
martial arts movies. And he's like, no way, dude. I don't want to do what you're doing in America. So he
Yeah,
dropped
yeah.
it.
Uh-huh.
I did not know that. That we could be living in a completely different world. He's like the Japanese Edgar Wright.
I thought Kung Fu Hustle
yeah.
was Chinese.
Chinese. I'm bad with. I don't know. I'm ignorant. I'm sorry. But yeah, what Dragon Ball could have
But I
been
get
with
what you're
Stephen
saying.
Chow.
I get what you're saying, though.
I love Kung Fu
Tweet
Hustle.
in yes or
Yes.
no. Just
my
that.
God.
Don't even.
Yes.
So Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes.
If you've read the books,
Which I have.
I would argue that Edgar Wright's film is a great film. I enjoy
It
it.
is.
I really like watching it. It is a bad adaptation of the books.
Yes.
It totally misses the point of that story because the story isn't just Scott makes bad decisions. It's Scott makes terrible life-altering decisions for all the people in his world, and also Ramona does too. And they're both the main characters. And the film completely loses the narrative as it's related to Ramona, and it only focuses on Scott, and even then doesn't dig deep enough. So while I really like that movie, they totally missed the point of why those books were a story.
Do you think that's because the film was in development before the sixth book came out?
No, because the fifth book made it clear what was up with where the story was going with Ramona and Scott. And if he was in enough conversation with Brian Lee O'Malley as he said he was, he should have at least understood where it was going.
We know what the original ending of the movie was going to be because the sixth book hadn't come out. They didn't know how it was going to end.
Right.
The original ending was going to be that it was revealed to be all a dream, and he had actually killed a bunch of people.
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
So the sixth the sixth book is paid some respects in the way they do the ending, but even then it completely, like, the entire idea, the part that bothers me the most, and it bothers me every time I watch the movie as much as I enjoy it, is when Nega Scott shows up, because that is fundamentally misunderstanding what Nega Scott is supposed to be.
That's such a fun part of the movie.
It's funny.
It's a shame.
Yes, but it's completely misrepresenting what Nega Scott is in the books. Nega Scott in the books is the representation of every terrible thing Scott has done to the people he cares about, and that eventually catches up to him, and he has to face it in order for him to grow as a person. But that's a throwaway gag in the film, and that's why I don't think it's a good adaptation. I enjoy it, but it's not a good adaptation of those books. It fundamentally misses the point of why that story is told.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
I can 100% agree with you, but like that does not take a single thing away from that movie.
No,
like,
I still like watching the
that's
movie
what
and
I
everything.
mean. Like, what a. It's so weird because like I want to watch that movie like all the time. Like I think about the movie all the time.
This is in the same way that we were talking about Watchmen earlier, where I wanted to say, like, sometimes you can make a bad adaptation and it still be a good movie.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
can happen. Scott Pilgrim's an example of that. I think it's a bad adaptation of those books, but it's a good movie.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It's a film I love watching. It rekindled, because I'd already read half of the Scott Pilgrim books, and then I dropped it. And the movie coming out rekindled my love for those books, and I went back and I read the whole series, and I fell in love with those books.
Yeah.
And I like the movie now instead of loving it as much, because I find the books superior. But it doesn't change the fact that the movie is cool, and I really do like it, and it stands on its own. But when we're talking adaptations, they did miss the fundamental core of what that story was, and it made it so it didn't translate as well.
Can we talk about Godzilla? Is that all right?
Adapting from what?
Godzilla 1998.
I mean, that's like the only one that's different.
An adaptation of the concept of Godzilla. Like what I know it's wrong, but I still enjoy it on a level. But I don't understand. There's so many people that point to like what's wrong with that film, but I still kind of understand what it's trying to do as a Godzilla movie.
It's trying to be an American Godzilla movie, which is just fundamentally different than a Japanese Godzilla movie.
Yeah, and I think actually,
it's just culturally we're different people. We're not going to make the same thing.
I think that's a good example of just, you know, the movie's not great, but it is trying to be a different.
It's like a B movie monster movie. It's not trying to be like a political Godzilla movie.
I think the biggest thing that movie gets confused on at the end is the like, we're sad but we're also happy.
Yeah.
About the death of Godzilla.
Yes.
And that's where it gets really confusing, because it's the movie's never trying to guide you into feeling any one way. And this isn't one of those things where it's very clever and it's like you kind of interpret in your own way how you feel about this. It's like it wanted to be the ending of King Kong, but it didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I want to bring up, I know we're going to have an actual topic about this later, but I'm the only person who has a real connection to the X-Men, right?
Sure.
Right. And we've had almost 20 years of X-Men movies. I can make the same case for Scott Pilgrim, whereas none of the X-Men movies are good adaptations.
I 100%.
Not a single one.
I 100% agree with you.
Because I'm picking an X-Men book club. Spoiler alert, it's going to be a book club. But every time, like, I love Hugh Jackman, and I love... No, I don't. I love Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
Sure.
But the only characters that are at all like their comic book counterparts are Xavier and Magneto. They are the only two.
Which is why First Class is the best X-Men comic film.
Yes, and even then it's still not a good adaptation.
It's still a stone's throw away from it, but it's the closest, which is why it's so good.
As much as I can separate the comics from the movies. So
sure.
Hugh Jackman, great guy. He is not Wolverine. He is not Wolverine.
But here's a really good here's actually a really good example. Logan. It's not Old Man Logan.
No.
They knew they had to build
Again, that's a bad adaptation. Good movie.
But they knew they had to build something completely different. They weren't going for Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
They were going for a similar vein.
Yeah.
But with a franchise that couldn't deliver an Old Man Logan story, so they delivered what would be their equivalent.
And again, that's maybe the best example next to Scott Pilgrim of, wow, what an Oscar-winning movie, not at all like its adaptation, not all like its source material, which again, it's not a bad thing.
No, it doesn't always have to be a bad thing, and I 100% agree with you about all of that.
And which is why I'm really, the main reason, not besides like business stuff, like why I'm excited for Marvel to get the X-Men, because if Marvel gets one thing right, it's their characters. It is 100% their characters. And I want to see the Wolverine that I've been reading for decades and the Wolverine that you guys are going to read in my book club. And I want to see the Jean Grey that I've never, ever seen on the big screen. I want to see a Cyclops that actually is a powerful leader and actually commands the X-Men instead of being...
What if we got, like, none of those characters?
Exactly. None of the...
No, I'm saying, like, what if Marvel relaunched it with none of those characters?
This is why I'm so excited for my book club, because if Marvel straight up just introduces the past 10 years of new X-Men and completely ignores the classic characters, that would be incredible. That'd be super cool. That's a completely different topic for after when we read this book club. But there are literally hundreds of characters that have been introduced in the last couple of decades that have never been on screen, animated or live action, that you guys don't know about that are awesome. And you will soon find out in this book club. Much like the Young Avengers, there are so many aspects of the universe that has never been touched.
Yeah.
And like being a school for the gifted youngsters, have it be... Guys, you know what reminded me most of X-Men? Stranger Things Season 3. Because that entire thing is about being in a mall with superpowers.
But isn't that why we didn't like season 2? Is because it reminded us of X-Men?
Yes, but I meant in terms of having fun and being in a fun mall, like having wacky adventures.
Okay, that's fair.
Not dark stuff. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because like that is kind of what I wanted, which I'm glad we didn't get. I am super glad season 2 did not turn into season 3 that I thought we were going to get. But the X-Men, they're not those movies, but they are good movies. So I'm just...
I always argue that the majority of them are good movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a lot of them are pretty standard, good to great movies. They are not X-Men adaptation movies at all. Just look at the Dark Phoenixes. Look at Apocalypse. Even X2 is my favorite. That's a decent adaptation.
You know, let's go back a little further. Let's talk about those early adaptations. The Blades, the X-Men.
Blade's pretty okay.
No, Blade, the Blade movie is not what that comic was at the time. The Blade movie became...
well, it wasn't rated R, yeah.
The Blade movie influenced the comic.
Yes, that's true.
That character changed because of the movie.
That's true.
Like, what we used to see in the past were these things aren't cool, so let's change them to varying degrees. Like
yes.
Sometimes they kept the core character, sometimes they didn't, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. I'm blanking on all of them at this point.
It's really crazy. It's actually, that we think about it, it's super, super crazy that Marvel's first big movie was a rated R adaptation of Blade. Because Blade in the comics is like, he fights Dracula like with Spider-Man.
Right.
Like he's a PG-13 character. So what a risk that actually really worked out in a weird way.
He was a blaxploitation character early years, and then he became Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. And then that's kind of what he is in the comics now, which is...
He has been that way since.
Which is cool. He's a cool... Blade's cool now.
Yeah, but he wasn't... he originally wasn't a half vampire.
Yeah.
He originally didn't do all the cool stuff. The movie fundamentally changed that character.
Again, like the Batman animated series, something that like... something does something so well that it makes that adaptation better than what it originally was.
And in speaking in that old times, what's one of the greatest comic book films of all time?
Superman.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
And why? It's pretty much 100% an excellent adaptation of 90s Spider-Man.
Just any of
the Spider-Man
any
you
issue.
grew up with when you were a kid, that's him. That's Spider-Man.
And Doc
right
Ock,
there on the screen.
Doc Ock is so different than he was in the comics.
He's completely re-envisioned, but it didn't matter because everything else about that was
He has
so true to the core of Spider-Man.
He has like a Professor Dr. Freeze, Mr. Freeze almost origin, which makes him better.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is great.
I love
It's my
Spider-Man
favorite
2.
Spider-Man movie. Spider-Verse exists. I keep forgetting.
Spider-Verse.
I was watching that. I was watching that this morning.
Spider-Verse?
It's real good.
Oh, I'm probably going to rewatch that tonight.
Spider-Verse is a good example of an adaptation that's nothing like its namesake.
No.
Not at all. Yeah, it's literally not even... It just has multiple Spider-Man.
But every single character is true to its core.
There's something about Spider-Verse that just strikes... I want to say like a lot of these adaptations, because like Brian, you were saying the X-Men, bad adaptation but great films.
Yeah.
And then we would look on something like say Watchmen, where it's a decent film, but it's a good adaptation, but it's not that good of a film.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It's weird because there are all these like different subsections.
There's no hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
Like when we say beat for beat adaptations, like Psycho. The remake, it's
that's a hard and fast rule. Don't do that.
But still, it's not that good.
Yeah.
But then we look at other stuff like The Dark Knight Returns, and it's beat for beat, but it's great.
Oh, you know what? Actually, controversial opinion. I think Vince Vaughn's pretty good in that Psycho movie.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
I think he's the only.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Also, William H. Macy's in that.
Yeah.
Everyone
and
tries.
H.
I want to say
Everyone
with
tries.
all these like Aragon, I would say Aragon is a really bad adaptation and it's a really bad movie.
Yeah, it's a bad all around.
Because as I saw the movie for the first time, I was thinking to myself, that's different from the book. They didn't do that. They did not flesh out one of the dwarf characters at all, who becomes Aragon's best friend.
Wait, is there a dwarf in the movie?
There is a dwarf. There's
Definitely don't
supposed to
remember.
be, but
I
you
don't
don't.
remember that at
But he
all.
doesn't say a damn word.
Oh, okay.
You have you have this one princess who does become queen, but she only has like 2 lines. And she's a major character in the politics of Allegasia and the rest of the books, and she doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
So you have these characters that are going to be, especially for a film that was trying to set up sequels, who are going to be major players down the line, but they don't do jack crap.
Oh my God, Stephen King is the king of adaptations. Every one of his books is a movie, basically. I just realized that most of them are.
And only until recently were all of them pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only until recently did they start trying to be more true to the story that King was going for, even if they're not recreating all the moments from the book.
Like The
they
Shining.
are recreating the intent of what the story is.
Like The Shining is a great movie, but like that's a bad adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up terrible adaptation.
So let's do final thoughts.
Yeah.
We're at an hour.
It's weird because when we talk about attitude, I was looking forward to this conversation, but then we got not off the rails, but it was one of those things where it's like there's so many different subsections of what makes it good, bad, and what's different.
It's kind of personal in a way too.
It is personal in a way, but
that's a really good point.
But I also want to say that adaptation is like catching lightning in the bottle. Like if I had the chance to, like when I was a kid, when I was really getting into Final Fantasy games, there were 3 games I want to adapt into either films or TV shows, and that's Metroid, Final Fantasy 12, and Final Fantasy 7. I've given up on.
We didn't even get into video game
Yeah, I know,
adaptations.
but
they're mostly all bad.
Yeah,
They're movies.
They're mostly all bad. But I wanted. I mean, 12. I think you could turn that into a 12-episode miniseries, hour and a half each episode, but it has to have a big ass budget. Metroid, I think that could work great as a science fiction horror film.
Oh yeah, dude.
I think those could be great, but once again, it all depends on. I think it's like all art is subjective. So,
100%.
So I mean, yeah, we all will have good adaptations and we all have bad adaptations, but it really just depends on how you yourself feel.
What am I? Oh.
No,
Let's go because I had this on my mind. Starship Troopers is one of my favorite movies. That is furthest. That's also one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
It is one of the furthest adaptations to a book you could possibly imagine. Both of them are great in their own ways. I think it's super interesting because like it is very personal. Like, things with like Spider-Man connect differently with you, or like connect with me. It is really personal, and I guess at the end of the day, as long as the movie is good, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So just make it good.
Yeah,
I guess.
World War Z is a really good example of that.
Yeah. Oh, I
good.
love that book, and that's just a journalist talking to dudes. Where that turned into a huge action movie.
The movie's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. There's a game that just came out that's Left 4 Dead.
Sparks?
I think that the core of it always comes back to if you don't have a reason for it, even no matter how close to the source
Whether you
you're
change it
staying
or not.
or how far away you're going from changing it, if you don't have a clear idea of like why you're doing it, or you're actively working in the direction that is away from what was so intrinsically important to why the story was told in the first place, then you're doomed to failure. I think across the board, when we all agree that something it doesn't work, it's because it feels like it was just done because, or it wasn't done with any thinking about how it related to the original source or why the original source was important. Even things like Paper Towns, which is a book I absolutely love, I don't like that movie because the third act they completely lost the point of what the story was about. And I don't understand how that happened. They completely changed it, and it didn't work. Death Note, the live-action films, go in their own direction. They go in their own direction away from the anime, and they had a clear choice, but they stay true to what the story was really about and the characters that were in it.
The American one, talk about missing the point.
Yeah, 100%. So it's always just like, you can make changes or you can not make changes, but whatever you're doing, you have to have a reason to do it, and you have to be staying true to what started it. You have to keep some core part, otherwise just make a different story. There's no reason to adapt it if you're not going to keep the key pieces that made that story important to begin with, why it was being made in the first place.
I just have one video game movie I want to talk about, and it's the original Silent Hill, because I made a couple different ones. The first Silent Hill, it's like a 7.5 movie. It's fine, but but it's the aesthetic and the score and like the acting, and like the person who made that movie is like a super artsy French director. That dude gets Silent Hill the game super well, and the movie is kind of okay, but like the aesthetic and like the design. What?
I don't hate the sequel either.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. It was in 3D. It's got Jon Snow in it. But yeah, Silent Hill is an excellent adaptation of Silent Hill.
I don't know if I have much to add to that, but it is. Ryan was absolutely right. It is super personal. It really depends on what you're looking for. Like if you go into Aladdin looking for the same movie, you'll be happy. But if you want something different, then you won't be.
Yeah.
But for people like, like Spark said, like there's got to be a reason for a change. change for change's sake very rarely
Like
ever
even
works.
even Aladdin, as you said, has some difference to
Yeah.
it.
For the better.
It's
or
the
some-
thing
some
that,
parts are
as we'll
better.
talk about next week, it's the thing I dread about The Lion King, that I feel like it's just
Yeah.
I could watch the original instead.
If
Yeah.
if you change something, there's got to be a reason for a change. You gotta follow that change for how it's going to
It's
fundamentally
30
change
minutes longer than the original, too.
I've
that's,
heard
That's interesting.
Lion King is adapted into a Broadway musical, and talk about change, but not for change's
such
sake.
such a good play.
Made strong choices and kept the core of what was important.
Yeah. All right. So let's.
That was a nice jaunt.
Yeah. Should we
Yeah.
move into our book club?
Yes.
Sure. Hey, welcome to the Fake Nerd Comic Shop.
Yeah, hi. Do you have any books?
Could you be a little bit more specific?
Anything readable?
All right. Then time now for our book club. Ben, take it away.
Yep. So, as I stated earlier, I freaking love Avatar: The Last Airbender. And one of the questions that left hanging when that show ended was, what the hell happened to Zuko's mom? There's, I want to say, 3 or 4 good episodes talking about his mom.
Yeah, I was
Not
shocked.
about his, or not like him trying to find the mystery about his mom. Just
but
like
just referencing her.
Yeah, referencing her.
I was shocked when that show ended and they had not solved that.
like a good, great last scene was Zuko and Ozai is him staring him down, saying, "Where is my mother?" And then it cuts to the
Mother.
Then it, like that song. And then it cuts to all of them and Bossing saying like, "All happy because the war's over," and we finally got the answer
Let's
in
give a-
graphic novel form.
Let's
in
give a
the
little.
search.
Let's give a little background of these graphic novels. So
Yes.
they initially started as there was a 3-part graphic novel, original graphic novel series called The Promise.
Yes.
That was the origin of Republic City
Uh-huh.
because Legend of Korra was airing at the same time.
Yeah. Udao is eventually going to become Republic City.
That's awesome.
So then the second story arc started,
Mhm.
and 3 new original graphic novels of The Search, which are actually an adaptation of an animated film that was planned before Legend of Korra started. Legend of Korra
Yep.
derailed those plans.
Oh.
So this is where this came from.
Yeah. But now we finally have the answer, and these graphic novels are still going, and they're still continuing what happens after the end of the show.
There are even Legend of Korra
It's
ones.
Yep.
not the answer. This one's the search. Just so you know.
The
He threw away some microphone away. Yeah, there are even Legend of Korra.
Yep, there are. They're continuing.
Set after the show.
I'm enjoying those, but the search it's probably my favorite of the original Avatar ones because it answers the question of what happened to Zuko's mom.
It's kind of
And-
fundamental viewing if you were
Yeah,
into the show. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah,
gotta know
I,
how this all ends.
I haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender since the finale episode happened.
wow.
So my memory of Avatar is very, very bad.
Okay.
So jumping back into these characters in this world again was really, really sweet and nice.
Uh-huh.
And I
I'll-
really enjoyed this book.
I want to just talk about the art for a second in these books. The art is so good at invoking the style of that show.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
fluid. It's so
Oh.
it's so beautiful. I
Give me
love
a
it
book.
so much.
I gotta give credit to where credit's due.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget. Let's see who writes these.
So Gene Yang wrote it. He does like
Yeah.
the new Superman books, the Chinese Superman at DC.
Yep. Art and cover by
the new Superman. Thank you.
I said new Superman.
So
he
the-
did say new
Oh,
Superman.
I thought you said Chinese Superman.
I
He-
did. I
he-
said after.
Oh, I
The new Superman, the Chinese Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Art and cover work is by wow. So now I now know how Brandon feels. It's Gurihiru. It's just Gurihiru. Gurihiru. So I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Cool name.
But
so yeah. The scripts are Gene Lin Yang, and it's all done with kind of the blessing of the original show creators.
Yeah.
Like they kind of shepherd these stories. They check off on them.
Yeah.
Much in the same way that Joss Whedon was working with the Buffy comics in season
And
7.
it mostly felt true to what I remember the characters being too. So it wasn't like
Oh, yeah.
some random guy coming on and like, who's this guy? Like everyone, this felt like Avatar to me, 100%. This is
when
like the sequel to the show.
Like when I first heard that Avatar was coming out in comic form as a sequel to the show, I was reading it and I could hear the voice actors' voices as I'm reading it.
Mhm.
And once again, as I'm reading these books, I'm like, these books, they knock these characters, or they get these characters down pat. And like Azula being after her famous fight with Katara and Zuko at the end of the Phoenix King, her like bending out or like being so flexible she could get out of her straitjacket to zap Zuko. I was like, that is such an Azula power move. That's
Yeah.
so great.
And like all of her text is like bolded because she's always crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
it's a good character choice.
I mean, what do you guys? How do
I
you
really
guys
like
think?
this a lot. Again, like it just felt just like, oh, this is the next couple episodes of the show. Like it was really enjoyable. Like my favorite stuff was the flashback stuff with Akeem and the mom. What's the mom's name again?
Ursa.
I really enjoyed that stuff, and like
So
the
do
weird
I.
memory wiping stuff,
Yeah.
and the many-faced tree monster.
Yeah.
Like once that happened, I'm like, oh, this book's great.
I'm really sad that Legend of Korra derailed the movie because I would have loved to have seen
Yeah.
this as a film.
Yeah.
Same. The shot where the wolf spirit first shows up
Hell
yeah,
and
wolf
is
spirit.
drinking from the pool next to Akeem is like, man, this looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So calm.
Yeah.
I'd read this back when it came out because I have this as well. So I read it way back when
6 years ago,
And
I
it's,
think.
yeah, and it's really
it's been
it
that
still holds
long.
up. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I read this when it first came out. Also, I think this book
Mhm.
is it continues to be my favorite because I do think it's the strongest of the Avatar, the Last Airbender.
The other
sequels.
Avatar books are still very good. They are still episodes. I feel like they're
But
still
they-
episodes of the show, but I don't feel they have the impact like The Search does, because The Search was everyone's biggest question. And like when the creators would go to cons, I would guarantee, I'm willing to put money that what happened to Zuko's mom is a question.
Right, but what I was getting at was that the promise had a purpose. The promise
Yeah.
was to set up Republic City and see how that story came about. The Search had a purpose. Since then, they haven't really had a purpose. They're just kind of episodes of the show, like you said. Whereas the first two had a reason for existing. They had a reason for being written. We don't need anything after.
Kind of turned to fluff.
Yeah, a little bit. We don't need any. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't need any of it.
It doesn't
Right.
feel essential.
The
like
story.
This does.
The story ended.
Sure.
Right.
The story ended at season 3. The story of Zuko's mom ends here. Like
Yeah.
we don't need any more to the story.
And again, like from my memory of Avatar, is like you don't see the Fire Lord until like the very last season, right, or something like that.
You don't see him full body, like full
Yeah.
full face, until book 3.
Mark
yeah,
Hamill.
yeah. So like that's awesome, right? And like so now we get to see like the backstory of this character and his interaction with his son, who's not his son but is his son.
Yeah.
and how that like
That was a
his
that was
mother
a-
basically
Oh, yeah.
turned him against his father, like accidentally, because like, oh, you don't want him to be my son, then he's not my son. Take that. I'm like, oh, that's really sad. That is so sad.
Yeah.
And I really like the sorry, real quick. I really like the twist of like, oh, Zuko's not his son, but then it turns out that he is, and that's so much sad. That's so much more
Yeah.
devastating.
You would think that was just a cop out, but then once we get back to the memory flashback of her talking to Ozai and saying, I hope and pray that Zuko will never turn out like you," and it's like, okay,
Is that what you want? You got it, baby.
because obviously Azula takes after Ozai more,
Oh yeah.
but just that whole thing, just seeing them, the whole flashback is just great.
I think Ursa is like for me like the MVP of this book. Like,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The things that she goes through and like she's willing to like give up her memories because like it's just so
Yeah,
much to handle.
that whole story of her and the love of her
Yeah,
life,
Akeem.
going and changing their
Uh-huh.
faces and becoming these new people, and that's how they've been in hiding this
And
whole time.
Even the quick little side story of the waterbender brother and sister.
That's awesome.
double.
All that little stuff's so
'Cause,
good.
one of the things that kind of bums me out about Avatar, which there's not a lot, is there's a great episode in season 1 where Aang goes to the spirit world and meets Ko, the face stealer.
Sure.
You can't make any emotion in front of him, or else he'll steal your face. And there's this great there's this great exchange between the two of them, and he's such an intimidating and scary character. Sadly, he only shows up once again in flashback in like season 2 or 3, but after that, never mentioned. Mentioning him in his book kind of gets that great flashback of, oh shit,
Yeah.
yeah, that.
And his
'cause you
sister
see-
is so sweet.
yeah, and also you see like he had a run-in with Ko the face stealer, and that's why the mother of face is like, oh, yeah,
That's why you have no face.
Okay, I
I'm
can
sorry.
help you out.
I
Don't worry.
understand now.
Yeah, but also I love the design of the mother of faces. How she has like multiple faces; they're all blank, then floating.
It's the
Faces are floating behind her.
what's the Transformers character? Quintessence
Oh, the
Oh,
quintessence.
Quintessa.
with the multiple faces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the quintessence from. Sorry, I got the
Last Night?
flash.
Oh,
for a
it's, yeah. I
second.
forgot. No, not that version.
Quintessa.
The movie version.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But I'm glad you guys like this, because this, I mean, it was one of those things where when I found out that they were remaking or they were making more Avatar, I'm obviously going to jump on that because that's one of my favorite series of all time.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, you wanted it, you waited patiently, here it is.
I would argue that the going back to what I just said real quickly, I would argue the Legend of Korra graphic novels are more necessary than the Avatar: The Last Airbender graphic novels.
Yeah.
Because the Legend of Korra doesn't feel like the story ended, because
Yeah.
it was
I love
all
Korra too,
all
man.
4 individual stories, but there was still more that they could tell.
Yeah.
Whereas this was a story that they set out to tell, and they told it.
Mhm.
Yeah, this book, It's really excellent. Like I really like this one. I was really happy to revisit it.
And if you do decide, I might do other Avatar books later down the line because I love Avatar.
I wouldn't mind. Not at all.
One thing I do love about it is that the events of the books do bleed into one another. Like eventually, we do see Ursa, Ikem, and their daughter, now Zuko's youngest sister, in the capital, in the capital city of the Fire Nation. And you see her trying to reconnect with her daughter because she changed her face, and her daughter was like, "You had a different face for 5 years. This is all I know. What the hell?"
Oh, dude, there's a line where she's like, "I'm so sorry that I forgot you." Like, how could I forget my daughter? I'm
or
like,
even when
that
she's
almost made me cry.
like when
dude.
she's talking to Azula, she's like, "If I am your mother, I'm sorry I didn't love you more."
That's
and that
the
just
line, yeah.
breaks her even more.
Yeah, that's so sad because like, oh my god, I was your mother and I forgot. How I am the worst.
Even
like,
when they when Ursa gets her real face back and all of her memories, and she's talking to Zuko, she still looks aged up.
Well,
And
it's years later.
yeah, but still, I just love the detail of this book. I love how the spirits look. Even all the animals with the faces on them look great. It's like, this is Avatar.
I love the spirit bat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I like this book way more than I thought I was going to. Not for any particular reason, but like I knew like the original creators of the show didn't write it, so immediately I'm kind of like, oh well, But it's tremendous. It's really good.
Yeah, I like how the end starts with basically Zuko's going to learn the story of what happened from the very beginning, like his mom's history. I think that's really pretty. I think that's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm glad this has a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like Zuko gets to be with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just so touching.
Oh yeah.
Zuko needed it.
Yeah, Zuko, and also the team, like when Sokka and Azula's just giving Sokka all the shit, like, oh, what's your toy gonna do? And he's like, where's your toy? He's like, right there. Finally gets her on the back of the head with his boomerang.
Yeah, I'm really happy that the cast is kind of like trimmed down a bit in this one.
Yeah.
No Toph.
Like they don't feel the need to shove everyone in here. It's just we have
Iroh's there for a little bit.
And
even he's like,
with,
today's National Tea Day.
yeah, even with Katara, Sokka, and Aang on the line, they never get in the way of the story.
Yeah, it is a story about Zuko and Azula.
Yeah,
and they never lose sight of that.
All the flashbacks are like done in like a sepia tone, so you always know when you're in the flashback. And
as the show would.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah.
I think this made me realize because when I first started watching Avatar, I hated Zuko because he's the bad guy.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, and then in season 2, Rufio, Dante Bosco for life. And then in book 2, when you meet Azula and he's on the run with Iroh,
so good.
Even in book 3, my favorite episodes of Avatar from book 2 on involves Zuko in some way, shape, or form.
Oh man, Azula like burns Aang's flying thing.
His glider.
Like, it's a gift.
Yeah, because
bitch.
He got rid of his original glider.
No, I know. It's just like it's little things that I'm like.
I know. It's just a little things like that do harken back to the show and even to past graphic novels because they talk about what we're gonna do about Yu Dao, which was a former Fire Nation colony, and then a bunch of
look at the city having character development.
Yeah, what the shit, yo.
They also do a whole lot of good parallel work between Zuko and Azula and Sokka and Katara, and then the two waterbenders. We meet later a whole lot of brother sister.
Yeah, there was
themed storytelling between the three
stuff.
of them.
Yeah, he's my brother. Of course, I'm going to take care of him. And it cuts to a panel of Zuko and Azula, and they're like, meh.
Yeah, exact mirror panels of Sokka and Katara and Zuko and Azula.
Yeah, this book's really good.
And he goes to put a blanket on her.
Are all these other books as good as this book?
Some of them.
I would say that they're good.
I would say
but they don't really have the emotional weight of the story.
Because this has that spark that we always talk about, where I'm like, yeah, this is like I feel the emotion. I feel good about this.
I would say the rift between Aang. Okay, there is a book, The Rift. I think it came up after this.
It did.
It comes close. But there's nothing because it doesn't involve Zuko. It's mostly about Aang and Toph.
Yeah,
because
I love Toph.
They're clashing in that book.
Toph opens a metal bending academy.
That's my favorite stuff in Korra.
That's not the main thing of the. But like Toph is trying.
But that's where that came from.
Yeah,
I'm gonna read that book then.
It's the next immediate story arc.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Well, actually, I think she opens her Metal Bending Academy in The Promise.
It's been a while since I read The Promise.
It's been a while.
So Ryan, just to be safe, read The Promise first and then read The Rift.
Honestly, if they're all good.
I would say you should start with The Promise and just keep going until you get bored.
There you go. Yeah.
I'll bring all my physical copies back from Monterey, and you can thumb through them.
I have them all at home if you want to borrow them, so I can bring them over some other time.
Hey, do you still have some Pokemon books, by the way?
I do, yeah.
I was just checking.
No, I still do. I haven't. I'm sorry I haven't read it, but I still do have
it's fine.
them.
I was just checking.
All right, is that it? We got any more? Should we go?
Hey,
no, I'm really glad you picked this book.
Avatar's great.
Same. I
Yeah.
love you.
All right, Ryan, it's your book club next week. Do you know what it is?
Yes, I do, baby.
X-Men Grand Design.
No.
I'm just kidding.
That's next time, maybe. I am picking Wolverine and the X-Men, written by Jason Aaron and Chris Bachalo. That is the Doctor Strange team from a couple years ago. They wrote this book in 2011. It lasted 42 issues, almost an entire run just by those two guys. This takes place after the Schism event, which broke up the X-Men. Wolverine became the Xavier, and Cyclops became a terrorist like Magneto.
Wait, are we reading all 42 issues?
No, I mean that's the dream, but no, we're doing the first volume.
Okay.
How
this
many
is
issues? 5 or 6?
5 or 6, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't checked the volume because I have all single issues. But this is a story where a giant murderous schism, a giant murderous sentinel is coming to Genosha to kill everyone. And Cyclops is like, listen, we were trained since children to take this thing out. All of the children are staying on this island to kill this thing. I don't care if they die. And Wolverine's like, are you crazy? They're children. That is not what we signed up for. And it is a moral, the moral breakup of these two characters, where Cyclops becomes Magneto, and that's what the run's been for 5 years up until the relaunch a couple years ago. We are picking up after that event.
That's stayed the case for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So this takes place right after that event, where Wolverine opens up the Jean Grey School for youngsters. And he is the headmaster with Kitty Pryde, and it is a fun, great X-Men book that I want the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to be like. And I'm excited for you guys to read it, because there are so many characters you've never heard of that you're going to fall in love with.
Alrighty then.
All right, so that'll do it.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Next week, we will also be talking about The Lion King. Also, Comic-Con 2019. Comic-Con
Is
2019.
it actually starting next week?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, my
we
God.
will
That's
we will
why-
work out, depending on how much news is leaked, how we're going to tackle Comic-Con.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, we
right.
got YouTube if we need to.
Ryan,
probably be
that's
special.
why I took the week off, just in case we were able to go Comic-Con this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll probably do a special Comic-Con, mostly because Marvel will be announcing its Phase 4 slate.
Oh, my God, I'm
and
going to cry.
That's exciting.
Also, for the listeners at home, it has gone from being very bright in this room to now it is dark in this room.
Yes.
I love it.
All right, so you guys can find us on YouTube. We have a YouTube page where we put up shows like Basement Arcade and Fake Nerd Watch, as well as shows like you're listening to right now. You can find that link in the description. Sparks, anything cool going on the YouTubes this week?
Oh, we'll have just some more of the basement arcades from these two fellas on Shadow of the Colossus.
Yo, man, it's almost done.
I know.
We,
We're almost done.
we also will have our upload of this episode. We'll have our Fake Nerds Watch of Swamp Thing up again on to episode 7. That show's coming to its close, which is very sad, but also it's very good.
Right.
Yeah, the closer that thing gets to being officially done, it just makes me more sad, because it's like, hey, that show is real good.
Kevin Durant just Instagrammed out that he just the other day closed his time on Swamp Thing because he was in for ADR for one of the episodes.
Oh,
And that was officially his wrap 2 days ago.
Damn, that's so sad.
All right, so we are also a Funko affiliate. You can find that link in the description as well. And when you check out, use promo code SHOP10 for 10% off your purchase. We have a Patreon and a TeePublic if you'd like to support the show. Patreon and TeePublic will both be in the link in the description. I am working on getting some more shirts. There is a sale coming up this week on our TeePublic. So
By the way, Riley Sloan from Downright Nerdy Podcast said she really wants a ladies cut Fake Nerd Podcast shirt still.
do what I can.
She wants it.
There's a sale coming up, Riley,
There you go.
this week.
Michael Carls, by the way, I forgot to mention this when I was on his Instagram live for Downright Nerdy. He was wearing a Fake Nerd Podcast shirt today.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Patreon. If you guys would like to support us, on Patreon we have one tier and one tier only.
Keep the lights on.
Help keep the lights on.
Which they're not on right
yeah, I
now.
was going to say, we're not doing real good, guys. Patreon, please.
If you'd like to get, so thank you to everyone who listens. We greatly appreciate it. There is no show without you guys. I just read them some new reviews from some new listeners.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, guys.
It's really fun. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci for our theme music, and hopefully a new one will be coming around the mountain soon. I don't know why I said it that way.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
You can find him on Instagram at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards. He also does our segment intros and a show called Suburban Proctologist, which is not on the air currently, but we are working on it. Should be soon. Mike Matola, thank you so much for our logo. Mike Matola, by the way, in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Mike Matola will be coming on the show
Hell yes.
for another Mike's Impossible Trivia Challenge. Spoiler alert, better rewatch one of the Indiana Jones films, guys.
Watch the wrong one.
we all watched the different ones.
Hey, so
There are 4 of them. We could have all watched a different one.
Oh,
And only one of us will win.
Oh no!
no.
One of us is definitely going to lose if you have to watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
You can find him at Mike Matola. He has a really cool time-lapse
Yeah, man.
video of
Yeah.
him making the print.
I saw that.
Did it say
Wow.
how long the time lapse was?
It's like 30 seconds.
No, how long the full like?
Oh,
was it-
no, I
how many
don't- I don't
hours?
know.
Because it's hours.
Because that thing is crazy
Wow,
cool.
yeah, it's a cool ass video. Go check it out.
Yeah, check that out on Instagram. Again, thank you to all who supported our giveaway. Seriously, guys, that was really cool of you.
Good job, No Victim One.
There's No Victim 1. Definitely get us that information. We will get the stuff out to you as soon as we can.
Rub it in your friend's face.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, that was real
Especially
funny.
the one who said he wasn't going to win
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
right?
that
Yeah,
one.
rub it all in his face.
That was real fun. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan, where are you?
Oh, I was going to take a drink. My name's Ryan Leopoulos. I'm sorry, I said that. I'm at DJ Tony Snark.
Sparks?
Everywhere.
I'm Sparks Witty. I'm at Sparks Witty everywhere, meaning just Instagram. SPARKZ Witty.
Ben.
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27 on both Instagram and Twitter. And if you really want to see cool shit from Galaxy's Edge, check out my Instagram because I posted a lot of my stuff from there.
Subscribe.
Including a picture of Brandon and I wearing Yoda ears.
Yeah, I was not happy about that. Subscribe to
It's
us on
super cute.
iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Until next week, guys, stay fake nerds.